can't beat us, join us, please bring your coinage. We sing 3-pointers, money shots, all net, all vets. Bums we not, jet skiing in them sunny spots. With women edible like gummy drops. Dummy stop, dummy stop. No weapon form can intercept a storm. Once my intellect is on, I'm projecting on magnetic fields and interact with blacks with athletic bills. I'm all about growth and development like residents of Ebbets Fields. Not to choose between woo and chew. We wanna line them colors up like a Rubik's Cube and fade to black, yeah, the truest hue. When you say the black man is God, who you alluded to? The usual Clarence 13X, a worthy guess. The words expressed come from the word in flesh. Elijah M, the NOI versus Leviathan. Messiah sent from the heavenly branches. 7 P's from since G-Dub cut down the cherry tree. In the wilderness of North Mex, and we flossing death and forced aggression, or forced perception, forced protection, or forced confessions. It's all a lesson.
The sorcerers from Corsica, killer tonics, sticks and drums like the Philharmonic Orchestra. You niggas still playing harmonicas from officers, fabric softener. Jive turkeys popping 5 perkies, playing with keys, the Scotch storage type. For that soft white, we could've caught life, just being forthright. First class on my 4th flight, popping out like Fortnite. Every night we lit like Porsche lights. The meek shall inherit the earth, oh yeah, the scorched type. And these niggas, they some hoes in these streets. Me, I'm 10 toes in these streets. They lost their souls, niggas got holes in their feet. Shit, I'm just worried about the craft and how to perfect it. Not worried about the craft, yeah, that's out of perspectives. Focus on the chip like I'm Robert Kraft, and then how to protect it. It's the waves of the oceans. Get to the money, nigga, save your emotion. Descendant of the slaves in the graves in the oceans. Mastermind that the waves is in motions. These niggas, they addicted to the folly, addicted to that molly. Making me a movie, them sticks made of holly. I'm Dr. Manhattan, sitting on top of Manhattan. When I get all 5 rings, snap my fingers and pop up on satin. Dressed in all black, yeah, drop top the Phantom. Best.
Crumb TV.
Peace, peace, peace. Peace to you and yours. Peace to you and yours. Brother Blue reporting live and direct to you. Welcome back to KTL TV. Tuesday edition, right? Normally we will be locked in on a Tuesday. You have a special program coming up a little bit later from Red. That's Techno Tuesdays. I'm gonna be doing the War Report on Tuesdays leading up to April 4th, which will be the debut of part 2 of When in Rome 4.4 Edge of the Apocalypse. All right. So we got that cooking. It is definitely in the oven, and we definitely yeah. I got more than enough. I could go today. But we're gonna build it up. Trump said they need 4 weeks. And he was really meaning like 4 to 5 weeks. He was saying around April 4th. So April 4th it is. All right. We got a special program for you. All right. And this is definitely in the spirit of stirring the pot and getting the conversation piping hot and ready to go for 4-4 when, you know what I'm saying? We unbox the box. I'm talking about we're really going to unpack and peel back this entire agenda around what is being called the spiritual war, the war of all wars, Armageddon. So you're going to have a little Pope Pablo in there, Minister Marlin, and of course with the collegiate and strategic analytical eye of the blue pillar, the 44 guard. We're going to walk through it on April 4th. That is a Saturday. We are going to be presenting part 2 of When in Rome, the Edge of the Apocalypse. All right. What I'm calling the 44 War Report. Yes. Send me an email. Okay. All right. I'm gonna check the email again. Yes. So, family, you know, it's a tradition over here. They be like, "Where you from? Tap in. You in the building?" Shout out to our good brother Red Pill. Today, my guest on today's program is none other than our good brother OBA, is going to come through and present to you the the word on the street and the word from the curb, direct from Cuba, about what is going on the island of Cuba, right? The geopolitical landscape that surrounds this pivotal piece of the Western Hemisphere is so integral to a multiple of narrative. It sits strategically as a linchpin, right? And it also has a heavy bearing on what's considered indigenous spirituality in this particular sphere, and that has a conjoining aspect, element, and bridge to other continent and other realities. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot to be spoken of. And again, I'm not saying it, they saying it, that in the midst of a spiritual war, a holy war, at a time when cosmologically we are also being influenced in Aries, which stand for Neptune is spirit, war imperative of this particular time period, also promotes, supports, and heavily reinforces spiritual warfare. But again, as I said this past Sunday, and I will repeat this here evening, every single aspect of everywhere's war motif that we identify externally and outside of ourselves is really speaking to, reminding of, and pointing directly to the fact that we have to engage our inner wars, our personal wars. You feel me? That inner dissolve duality and find the center in the midst of it all, right? But if you are specifically called as priesthood, then there's something else more direct that you may have been called for, that you can't duck or you can't shirk. You gotta get your mind in the game, and you gotta get on the field and play your position, specifically because these wars are real. So yes, our good brother with skin in the game, you know, this brother has made repeated trips to the island of Cuba, and he's also initiated in spiritual systems that are tied and tethered to that landmass, so he can speak with authority, and we don't have to get secondhand accounts, but we could get some information from primary sources. And at a time like this, the only real currency that's left is truth. The only real currency that's left is trust, right? Because those are the things now that are very rare in the world, that are super hard to find. You know, you can't use satellites to track them down. They just don't exist that much anymore, right? So the authenticity factor is going to give people, places, and things a renewed value. And these conversations as well, I feel, in the age of AI. And again, you know, with all things, there's always a calling for us to find balance. Everything is pulling you and edging you towards balance. You know what I'm saying? It's bringing you into the center. So even with AI, it's just okay, always be reminded of a healthy balance. You know what I'm saying? I've been around individuals who have been able to really create some amazing things, like what Red says with the Imaginarium. It's about you being a co-pilot. You always got to have your hand in the pot. don't ever relinquish creativity and imagination all the way to the machine. You have to be involved. You have to be the human element that's present. So I've seen a lot of people, doing a lot of amazing things, co-piloting with the technology, right? And also the balance is that while you are giving time to the digital world and you being pulled into that particular realm, you also got to make sure that you got hands in the physical world and you're doing things that keep you tapped in, to keep you connected, to keep you reminded that you do have a duty, here on earth. Um, and for me, like it's farming, right? Putting my hands in soil, making sure that we're generating and cultivating food, our own source. So if we needed to be a resource, we can be that, but also getting direct resources from the source and cutting out the middleman because the trust is no longer there. Feel me? So when you have to take things into your own hands, do you wait for another man to give you permission to go, or you get active? And those are the times that we're in. And this is a fire horse year, so it's even more amplified that you shall not look back, right? You can't turn around and look back like Lot. You got to keep moving forward, or you will turn to a pillar of salt. There's too much ahead of you for you to be spending time looking behind you. You have to go with the momentum that you have and target your target, you know what I'm saying? And move towards it victoriously and gallantly, you know? And in a very twisted sense, that is what you could look out in the world and see, right? That these people are moving, they're moving even without plans, but that's in accordance with fire horse energy, that you don't always have to have the ending figured out. It's a whole subset of variables that, but if you are the initiator, if you're moving, then things can fall in your favor, while also, being mindful that this also is a trickery energy for people to crash out. You know what I'm saying? Who you can possibly do too much in a fire horse year, right? You can expend a lot of energy and not be going nowhere also in a fire horse year. You also can be trapped up in your illusions because this is Neptune and Aries. So your the spiritual war can be in your mind with your mind. You know what I'm saying? So all of these things are in play. The battlefield is always for the mind, is also for the spirit, of which both are intertwined. So a fortified mind allows the spirit to operate with no interference. A compromised mind, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna make you short of breath or short of spirit. And you shallow breathing, you feel me? It makes you susceptible to the pressures of this world. You know, sinuses, the things that we are being compacted and impacted with, showing ourselves that we don't even properly breathe. We're not breathing properly. We have to breathe from our gut. We have to engage in diaphragmatic breathing. We have to open up the passageways. We have to activate the fascia. You know what I'm saying? We have to move the lymph fluids. We cannot be sedentary. We have to activate this Merkaba. We have to activate this vehicle. We have to hyperactivate it. We are living in very charged times. We're living in a climate that is unprecedented. Okay. And yes, it's only going to get more intensified. There's no putting the toothpaste back in the tube. Everywhere is war until there's inner peace. So what personal war are you fighting? What have you signed up for? Are you fully comfortable and consecrated with your role, assignment, and position in this theater of life? Right? Do you have your playlist for the theater of life that you are here engaging in and playing in? These are real questions. Need jumper cables for activation. Granted, and while that is true, you know what I'm saying, at least what I can say that we have offered as a unit, as a movement and an operation is like I literally went out there and found products, you know, that can help you with that. You know what I'm saying? Where these things actually activate and operate in the capacity of jumper cables, that being the gynostema tea that I've been telling you about, the jogulan tea with the buckwheat honey. Now we got elderberry honey, these microgreen, these mushrooms, you know, all of this protein, all of this real food, all of, you know, this Tanzanian sea moss, this raw sea moss, all of this real food, all of this real energy, you know, real water. We got a water that's stepped on 17 times through a filtration process to once again give you the highest quality of accessible nutrients. Because if you can build back black bodies, right, and I'm not going to apologize for using the terminology black in this particular instance, because I am speaking about an alchemical process of what? Turning a people who are carrying a brand that means death into an alchemical people who see death as a pathway that's necessary for them to be born again. And we're not scared, we're not shirking the concept of transformation. What are we doing? Right? And who are we doing it for if we're not playing the game the proper way? And the proper way to play the game of life is not to be scared of letting go of it, because that's the inevitable. Well, the Tanzanian sea moss is the purple royal sea moss. And to me, it's just an amazing quality. You know, it's an amazing quality, and it has held up amazingly. And I've had other sea mosses that might be a little bit more beautiful, right? But they don't hold up the same. So I vote favorably. Tanzanian is hitting. These microgreens are doing what they need to do. You know what I'm saying? The honey works as promised. You know what I'm saying? Like all of this stuff is stuff that actually works. You know what I mean? You got diabetes, C word, you know, the things that have been impacting our have come across of our people, you know, those are the things that we have been aggressively attacking and creating solutions and fortification for. Yeah, we ship products everywhere as long as you're willing to pay for shipping. Yeah, full scale stores built out now. US Farm Store.lovable.app. People have been asking, where can they get a one-stop shop process? And here it is. Bam. Is the website still Goldwater? For Goldwater, yes, it is. And we got some changes that are coming to Goldwater very shortly as well. We got some Goldwater announcements that we'll be making very shortly, me and Keys. But we're here now, you know, with these teas, with these honeys, with these greens, with these gourmet mushrooms, right? And then this clean water, and very soon these energy solutions. So yeah. And then you got to see, like, when the US backed out of the quote unquote world health situation, right? When they removed themselves and they were no longer a barrier to information flowing, then you seen all of these quote unquote cures coming out left and right. China revealed some, India revealed some, Britain, everybody's putting their quote unquote things that was bottleneck. Now they throwing it on the table all of a sudden. And interestingly, on my way to New York to debut the tea, right, the sweet tea, the jogulan tea, of which we're making our big bold claim that this is the David that would take down the Goliath of diabetes and sickle cell. China announced at the same time that I was in transit that they were releasing a diabetes cure, a stem cell product. Interestingly enough, now them studying the census and ultimately the people that were in this area of northern China that were living to be centurions, that they had to designate as a blue zone, they found out they was all drinking the tea. You know what I'm saying? So they started studying their genetics and things of that nature. I don't know if that's exactly where they got the stem cell line from, but nonetheless, you know, there's gonna be it's gonna be, for lack of a better term, and again, this is the challenge. There's gonna be a beautiful, ugly dualism, but your job is still to dissolve dualism and find the center. Right? So the dualism is that there's going to be things that are incredible happening, amazing, transcendental, and then there's going to be things that look like hell. Right? It's going to be highs and lows simultaneously. And your job, your challenge, your calling is for you to find the center. You know what I'm saying? That is your calling. You have to find the center. And you have to dissolve duality, because like they said, this is the war of all wars, is the test of all tests. And the test that's being engaged is, you know, it's a war for your mind. Are you going to fall victim to allowing somebody else to program you and pull you into a paradigm that you don't belong in? And that paradigm is judgment of you thinking that it's either one or the other. And you're playing the game of dualism, which means that you are either better than, even the game of being first or being primary. You know, does that make you more qualified because you're first? Are you looking down on any and everything else? Or do you ultimately, are you open to the ultimate destination being where you arrive to a place where there's just the all, and you're able to absorb everything into the one as the one, not the one and then there's 99. No, the one absorbed into the 99, so there's still the one, right? And these are lofty terms. It might sound easier said than done. You feel me? Because this is where avatars reincarnate time after time after time after time to come here to perfect that level of graduating, dissolving dualism. Okay? That's being at the height of your humanity till you're no longer human. And the very thin line, the 0 point between those two states, is where that enlightenment point is at. You know, when them 144,000 petals open up in your crown chakra and you really tapped into that source. Sounds very theoretical, but very few people get there, unfortunately. All right. Give me 1 second, y'all. But yes, as hold on 1 second. Yes, family. Part itself. Give me 1 second. I gotta forward an email to a location. All right. But what's good with y'all? Anybody have any questions about anything that I just shared or said before I continue? I just don't want to drop and dump all of that in your lap and just totally say, yeah, on to the next. Is there anything that I said that needs more clarity? Or did you want me to possibly dive a little bit deeper on and get a further understanding? Yeah, shout out to the Afro Samurais. I did a dope interview with a brother who he's a photographer. He has a very large X following, and he takes pictures of melanated people and their military garb or in martial stances, that being martial arts, or if you know if you 2A, you know what I'm saying, with whatever posture that melanated people are taking that looks like a posture of self-defense or self-determination. So he got a dope series. I'm embarrassed because I don't remember the name of his Twitter handle at the moment, but I'm gonna be dropping the interview very soon here on KTL. Dope brother. I would love for you to check his page out when the interview does come out, just so you can see some of these graphics and reinforce in your mind what it means to be a warrior in these times, because it's going to be needed and necessary, right? Again, this is not a conflict that you get to duck, and it's not one that you have to engage in either, because it's not one that pulls you into the Middle East. You ain't got to have boots on the ground for this to be engaging you. You're going to feel it in other ways, but it's a call again for you to deal with the war within, with self, right? And what does it take for you to get to center? So with no further ado, I want to present to you our guest for the evening as he takes center stage, my brother, your brother, our good brother, Brother OBA. Peace.
Peace. What's good?
Peace, God. How are you?
I'm well. How you doing?
I'm amazing, man. I'm
Listen,
amazing.
you know, every day is a motherfucking gift, as they say. You know what I mean?
It is. The brother, his name is Moniel, workout brother. I seen the brother. He do 10,000 push-ups. The New York athletes don't understand that they superheroes. They so he got a saying. He said, "Waking up is a blessing." You know, like you blessed if you woke up. And I think that that's the truest form of how we can begin this conversation, by saying that every day should begin in an offering. Every day should begin in thankfulness. Every day should begin in acknowledgement of the ancestors. You know, every waking moment you should be mindful that this is a bliss and a blessing, but it's also transactional.
Yeah, well, it's the universe works off of reciprocity,
Right.
right? So if you understand the context of West Africans, and particularly the Yoruba people, they
Yes.
believe that the world is the world is one giant market.
Can you explain that?
Okay, because in the market, people are wheeling and dealing. They're lying, right? They're exaggerating. They're thieving. And
Right.
then you have honest people that are there earnestly. They earnestly, you know what I'm saying, raise their tomatoes and their vegetables or whatever their goods are. But in the market, you could be taken advantage of, right? So the idea that big fish eat little fish until little fish grow horns, right? So that's the universe. You feel me?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
And so you adapt, right? And so, like I said, if the big fish keep eating you, you go and complain to God, and God you give you some medicine, and then you come back with something different.
Right.
And so that is that's the way of the world. Like, you got a closed mouth, don't get fed. You understand? So if you don't complain, then nobody gonna understand your problem, and nobody will assist you. You feel me?
That part. That part. So, and therein lies the power of the word. That the word is also made, the word, according to scripture, you know, open the heavens and shape the world, but your word can also open the heavens and create new worlds for yourself.
Yes.
And they call that supplication. And there's such a thing that you want to make a supplication sweet on the ear of the creator, so your prayers will be heard first. And that supplication is based on what? He say, bring me a tribute, bring me an offering. You know what I'm saying? If you pulling up, you know what I'm saying? Go to the store and bring me a pack of, you know, it's the same way. Why do you think in this particular society, people are so adverse to the concept that blessings may be transactional?
Because that would mean that people can't be lazy, right? So now you can't complain because you didn't do the work. Like, so when you understand, so understanding that this is all, you're speaking code, right?
Yes.
So when God asks for a certain thing, he asks for an apple, so to speak.
Right.
The apple is not because he's going to eat it. It is an indication to God for the memory of what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Because each fruit, each vegetable, each thing has a symbol, and they say a symbol is worth 1,000 words, right?
Yes.
And you say a picture's worth 1,000 words, and a symbol's worth 1,000 pictures, right?
Right.
So you don't understand that why God made the apple and what are the implications of the apple. So the apple has a symbolic memory to it that when you're giving it to God, it's for this purpose, right? Because God understands the internal conversation of what this apple actually means, right? What are what is the value of the apple? What are the traits of the apple? So that these things become symbolic as a means for me to speak to God in a language that is beyond mine. You understand?
Yes.
So people, what happens is the transactional part of it, you know, everybody is entitled and they want things for free, right? And they want to be lazy, right? And that is the goal of wealthiness, is to be lazy, to get enough money that I ain't got to do shit, right? So motherfuckers be getting that shit twisted, so they don't like the idea that God is transactional, because that means that now you're accountable. That means there's a ledger. Yeah. They're keeping tabs. The niggas don't want to believe that, because the Abrahamic faith leaves you with the idea that at the last minute I could run amok, and at the last minute I'd be like, Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, and then I ain't got to go down the motherfucker down that tier. That's too easy, right? So when people have to deal with acknowledgement, and they have to deal with with acknowledging your part in your circumstance, you know what I mean? Nobody's just a victim just walking down the street. Something told you not to go down that way. Something told you not to wear that, or to do this, or to do that.
Right.
You were just ignorant.
Right. You ignored it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, with that being said, and you know, that's an amazing way to begin this conversation. And someone said, you know, but I've been complaining and none of my complaints have been heard. We've also been taught, unfortunately, you know, society would give people the concept that there's an aspect of them being a victim that they could fall back on. You know what I'm saying? And a victim always expects a level of redress that they feel is owed to them based on accepting victimhood, right? And trauma bonding with that availability to fit underneath that particular umbrella where fortune's supposed to rain on you in the form of remedy. And because my ancestors worked for it, I don't need to, because, you know, we standing on stolen ground and all of that stuff.
Yeah, that's all good. But you have to deal with the reality of things, which is power, right?
Right.
Black people are not going to shame white people into being good. It's not going to happen.
Right.
So you have to put forth the work. So right now we're afraid that we're about to become insignificant within the political landscape, right? There's no reason for them to bother with us, because we're becoming more of a minority. And in that, we have to understand that you have to make things hurt people, or to get their attention so that they know they're there. That's why the Chihuahua barks the way he does, because he's so small, he's afraid that you're going to step on him. So he
Right.
barks to let you know I'm here. Don't step on me.
That's his
Right.
defense mechanism. Right.
Absolutely. We have lost our defense mechanism. So, and so, I'm critical about our circumstances because I think at this point it's redundant. We've already been given the blueprint and the tools and the construct of what it looks like for Black unity and what that talks about. They gave us the Nguza Sabas, right? It doesn't matter who it came from. It matters does it work, right? And so it's not his construct, it's something that he brought forth, which talks about unity. If you unify, if the hand unifies, it's stronger as a fist than it is as just a hand,
Right.
right?
Finger.
Absolutely. So if we practice umoja, and then we practice self-determination. Self-determining, meaning that you are determined by yourself. No outside influence. Nobody put this or influenced you. You are determined to be a doctor, determined to be a lawyer, determined to be whatever it is that you are. You are self-determined, right? Now, with that self-determination, now you become a part of collective work and responsibility. What do you do that is a part of the collective? What cog are you in this machine that you do your part and be responsible for your part, right? From that will give you cooperative economics. Now, what does that mean? That means that, and we've talked this for years, Blue. I'd be like, yo, we need a nigga town. And I say that just to get people's attention. Nigga town. Why? Because when you don't go, it's not one Chinese restaurant when you go and looking for real Chinese food. You go to Chinatown. And all the goods there that are Chinese are sold by the Chinese people. Well, we're supposed to make it that if you don't buy Jordans from Nigga Town, your Jordans ain't real. That's the type of thing that we're supposed to have. You feel me?
I mean, the loose concept of that would be Harlem, right? And I'm just saying the loose model of it, something that we perceive that as ours, and there's a stamp that goes along with the proximity to authenticity.
Yes.
I got this from nigga, I got this from 2 or you got through to get that, and you got off the block with them. Back in the days when it was like that, or it meant something. But again, it's being, you're retrieving from the source once again. So since we've identified that we're the source, we've identified that they need to plug into the source in order to power or charge up whatever they got going, then why not consolidate the source and put a wall and value around that and then make people pay the wager in order to retrieve the source? Like, I don't consider that. I'm like, we can't be serious about not wanting to be what they call victimized, right?
Right.
Because we don't have a school that teaches how to read and sign contracts. And this is something that we was born into. We over here in hip hop talking about it like it's new.
Right.
I just seen, I rewatched an Empire They Own. And since entertainment as an industry has been open in this country, we know the who's have been having their way with the talent that has not been, mentally sound enough to find their way around the words and them contracts. So it's like we haven't even be gotten serious enough about tackling the issues that are right in front of us that we know continue to cripple our ability to garner and generate generational wealth, if you will, across the spectrum of saying, if we're creating $1 trillion industries, right, where's the trickling of that? Why hasn't it impacted any of our direct lives or neighborhoods? Right.
Well, for several reasons.
Right. Go, please.
So again, we do not. So our elders kind of failed us. They were supposed to support us in all of this, right? The billionaires and the millionaires that were Black were supposed to put into this music that they thought was just a fad, right?
Right.
Just imagine had people like Bill Cosby and Quincy Jones and them created a distribution just for hip hop, we would have had our own thing, right? And so the real problem is the unity problem. It is the problem that when you and I walk out of our homes into an all-black neighborhood. We are we are tense. We are on standby, ready to get busy with the people that look like us.
They look like us,
right? So with the money, the trickle down thing. So even right now, like the so what happens is the rich niggas take advantage of the poor niggas, right? The boule take advantage of the poor folks, and they don't give nothing back. There's no reciprocity. I'll give you an example. So Mo and them started Money and Violence, right?
yes,
And that started a whole heap of different hood web series or soap operas, right?
yeah,
But they didn't consolidate. So Money and Violence didn't get
right,
Project Heat and Respect Life, so that number one, your actors have a longer shelf life. If he died on Money and Violence, he could show up on Respect Life, right? There's
right.
more cameramen, more resources, right? Instead, they allow 50 to snatch that right from under their feet. Power and all of that is the imaginations of Money and Violence.
That's a fact.
You heard?
That's a fact.
So he took that, and it got his attention because they were using one of his samples in the theme song. That got his attention. So then he started paying attention to it, and then he looked at the construct, and he took it and he sold it to the pilgrims. Here, this is what we're going to do. We're going to show you some hood shit, right? And again, we don't control our vice, the vices within our community that other people come to indulge in, right? So it's the unity. It is us having to understand. So like the whole Puff thing, everybody like, oh, Puff this and that. But I'm like, yo, you don't realize they're trying to get rid of your millionaires. They're trying to get rid of the niggas that you could go and borrow that money from to start your little, you know what I'm saying, protest or whatever from, right? And this is why it's very easy to understand who they're going after next. Oh, they're going after Jigga next, right? Because they're going after all of the money.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You see it. They systemically sat back and said, if I'm declaring war on the ops, right, which they consider their political opponents, they said, what was their engine? What do they use for resources when it comes time to fundraising? They got rid of Harvey Weinstein, Diddy, who was the major player for the blue side since 2004, since Vote Die. He was the first one. He was the first that brought hip hop into politics. And then Jay took over with Obama, Bloomberg, and you name it. You know what I'm saying? The rest of them. And so him and Beyonce, right? So now you see the consolidation of the Hornets, the Hornet Nest activity around that situation. And it's a systemic way to take out all of the funding, all of the donors, where they not gonna have no bread to compete with the mega donors that this dude is over here doing the bidding of trillionaires.
Yes. And so this is a systematic thing that they. So again, we go back to they killed Q from World Star.
Got him out the way. Everything that you see on Instagram, the ratchet shit, it originated on World Star. Right.
He created the platform for all of that stuff to be resonating with people, and they got rid of him. He had the number one website that was competing with Facebook, like
globally.
And so
globally, right?
Globally, yes. That was a term. World Star, niggas. About you get World Star
number one because of its traffic in India and China. Right? We talking heavyweight. Global player out of here.
600 million people that got access to. You understand that? So, and nobody better than I. Everybody was just like, oh, Q from World Star, though. Like, you don't see that to be very suspicious. You don't see that to be suspicious at this time. Like, so you're watching them squeeze a little bit of the lemon, the last juice out the lemon, which is us, right? Musical, right? So even with Sinners and all that, and that being a big thing in the Oscars and all that, It's them turning their eye to the black aesthetic and being able to use it to make money. Feel me? So that, don't get it twisted. Now all of a sudden, motherfuckers gonna get budgets to make motherfucking hood movies and shit like that, and hood tales and shit like that, right?
Oh yeah,
They're gonna
yeah.
start having those budgets because they know where they see that the buying power is there in the African American community, right? So that's why they was fucking with Bad Bunny. It ain't got nothing to do with no. That shit had everything to do with they just want that Spanish money. Them niggas making money hand over fist in Telemundo. You heard? They want some of that shit. You did? And so if they'll have Spanglish on television when you niggas gonna be speaking English and Spanish to sell that shit to everybody, you bet your ass they gonna have that shit going.
It's a fact. Yeah. They're looking at the numbers and they can't ignore it. Them dudes is selling out 90,000 seat stadiums and what have you. You feel me?
Because they are, if it's a populist
back to back nights.
So now look at this. They've attacked the promiscuity of the black man. So one of my godsons said this some time ago. He was like, if it wasn't for the promiscuity of the black man, we would truly be a minority. Because our grandparents had 15 kids in a snap. Now the average black household, if you get 2 kids. So they're killing us with the numbers psychologically. Like, yo, you don't want to make no babies with these broads. And so they got us hating our women, right? And not having a plan. So like, okay, the original family structure is destroyed. Fine. Let's make a new one. Let's make one that's not necessarily polyamorous, but let's make it parent amorous. So that all of the mothers, the baby mothers are the same dude, to make sure that their children see each other and know that they're brothers and sisters and they help each other out. That's called community, right? So if you got 5 baby mothers and they all got kids from you, and one of them calls the other to do childcare, like, yo, I know you're not working right now. You're trying to go get a job. You could drop the kid over here. I'm gonna watch them because I ain't finna do nothing to my kid, and I ain't gonna do nothing to your kid because your kid related to my kid, right?
Right. It related.
If you need so if you need some EBT, instead of me selling it to some bozo, let me get some EBT and send it over there to that house. So when my kids come from school with your kids, they got something to eat. You feel me? So create a new structure. So you don't always have to go with the old one, but create a new structure because the structure that we have today is not working. The single mom is not working. That shit's not working at all. You know what I mean? Right. And so, these are the things that. So to address our title.
Yes, sir.
Right. The potluck mentality is what has maintained the Cuban people for so long. So that if I got rice this week and you got vegetables, then you gonna bring the vegetables down here to the rice, and we're gonna make us a stew with some rice, and everybody in the building in the area is gonna
eat.
Because somebody else might come up.
Truly community, truly communal.
Yes, they have to be, because they have so little resources, so that if I got something to cook, I might as well tell you to bring your pot and cook it too, because you might not have a stove to cook it on. So come over here and cook it over here, and so you can feed your people, right?
Right.
Now, unfortunately, that is being destroyed by corporatalization of things. Okay. When we talk about Cuba, we have to accept the fact that there's some things that we have to consider. Okay. Fidel is a Jesuit, or was a Jesuit.
Was a Jesuit, yes.
Okay. So I came to this understanding when I came to the understanding that when he created the revolution in '59, he never took down the flag. When you come into a country and you take over and it's a new administration or a new government, you take down the old flag and you fly a new flag, because this represents what we're promoting. And what we're, you know what I'm saying? So
new order.
Okay, so now the people out there, I'm very sure that they understand that the Jesuit flag is red, white, and blue. Okay. And so you have Great Britain, you have France, you have New Zealand, you have Australia, you have United States, you have Puerto Rico, Cuba, Haiti, right? They all got this red, white, and blue flag. Knowing the Jesuits, these are naval bases. This is where they're going to put their navies at, right? Because the Jesuits is good about that navy. They're going to kick your ass and stop you from moving your goods. So the idea that Fidel didn't change the flag let me know that this was all theater. The whole Cuban Missile Crisis, all that shit was a fucking farce. And what was gained was the silence of Cuba during the drug trade. Okay, so that if you pay attention, the cocaine didn't get sold by the Colombians; it got sold by the Cubans. Now, why the Cubans? Because black Cubans can assimilate to black folks better than anybody else. Okay, wherever you go, there's some niggas. There's a nigga named Cuba, right? Okay, we could go all the way back to motherfucking what's his name? Bingo All Stars, Traveling All Stars, right? Where Richard Pryor played the Cuban ball player, right? Okay, so they needed a way to infiltrate, to get the drugs into our neighborhoods, and they used the black Cubans to do such. Okay, and so what better way to do that when you have a communist country where there's no journalists that are going to tell you that they saw the ships loading the cocaine up at the fucking docks going to Miami, right? Ain't no journalist to write like that in a communist country. Okay. Now, esoterically, there's something in Cuba that makes them have to go there and do some stuff because of the land. So that this is why the Pope always shows up there to go to their churches and shit like that, because there's something there. Okay. Now, what we see right now is the Jesuits getting their pieces in place with places like Venezuela, right? They like, oh, you ain't gonna be talking that stupid shit, fucking with the gas and oil. So we got all of the oil now, right? And it is necessary as us as Americans to understand that the necessary pieces of Greenland, Canada, and South America are necessary for you to maintain this lifestyle, okay? Because if not, the motherfuckers gonna show up in the Bering Straits and they're gonna be pointing motherfucking submarines right at the United States, okay? This is all military shit. So now this is why we're talking about the Jesuits, because that's what they are. They are military strategists. You feel me?
They are military of Jesus. Please tell
Absolutely. Right? So they setting up shop. So the fact that they have Cuba right now, so they're going to go in there, but they've already been there. So when Obama was there, Fidel was already dead. They was just working out they was having little negotiations when he was, you know what I'm saying? And they need Cuba because of the spot that it's in militarily, right? And for the transportation of goods, right? Okay, so they already been over there. So now what's about to happen is they're about to turn that shit into Puerto Rico 3.0, mixed with the Dominican Republic. So the things that they're not telling you is that Las Vegas is about to stop being Sin City for several reasons. People are not going there. The casinos are empty right now. That's number one.
They are, yeah.
Number two, they have a football team. And a football team is an indication that there is a blue-collar population there. Blue collars start making babies, and then ladies going to be like, I don't want to see them broads naked on the motherfucking strip no more. And they start to change things. They start to make ordinances. And before you know it, they ain't going to be Las Vegas. So in the beginning, Las Vegas was the prize for the fake Cuban Missile Crisis. That shit was a farce. They was like, yo, we're going to cause some drama over here, and it's going to make the lawmakers give us legal gambling out in Nevada, right? Where we can control the shit. We could be there and watch the money. We ain't got the money, ain't got to come over no planes, trains, and automobiles. So
yeah, hold on. For people in the audience that may not follow that connection that you made, Can you explain to them, like even in the movie that they saw or they portrayed this, right, in Godfather, that when Cuba fell, right? Are you speaking
Hmm.
about they fell, and then the quote unquote casinos over there that were mob run on that part of this hemisphere? They switched that
Yeah,
over to
yeah.
Vegas,
Well,
and they
they
allowed them to do
they
that in
was
the
exploiting the island then, right? It
right,
was a place because and they got their inspiration from prohibition originally because
right,
Cuba was producing rum and sending rum to them, right?
right.
So they
So
had a connection with the Cuban rum runners from the days of prohibition, right? So what happens is, like I said, they have this paradise there, but you got to get on an island to go over there. You got to do this and the third. So Fidel is coming, and this is based on the Jesuits are like, listen, we about to clean this shit up, right? They're going crazy over here. They got the women having sex with donkeys and all type of shit. They bugging out, right? So we gonna clean it up for a minute. We're gonna let Fidel come in there. Now, people have to understand that Fidel and Che are from upper class wealthy
right,
people.
society, right,
Yeah, the niggas ain't come from no poor. They ain't poor. So they went to school. These people were in conversations with people who sit at the CFR and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
So they made some kind of deal was made, and in that deal, they was like, all right, we're gonna open up Las Vegas, and then we're gonna give them this fake revolution because the revolution of Cuba was fake. They never fired a shot. Remember that. There was never no gunfire in that war. That shit was a propaganda war. They took pictures with the guns, and motherfuckers was like, "We coming," and they got the fuck out of it. That shit wasn't real.
yeah,
Feel me?
yeah. It was on stage,
Yeah, it was on stage, with like what we seeing right now. All this shit is
right,
staged. The niggas
wag
playing
the dog,
theater with you. Feel me?
right, wag the dog.
Yeah. So now, and that's the other part about Cuba. They've never really been communists. Communism requires you to get rid of the church. The church is open every day in Cuba.
It's a fact. It's an integral part of the spiritual system. It's
Yes.
like Haiti when they keep telling me, "Yo, the Haitian people freed themselves up from occupation." I'm like, no, they didn't. The church was still there, and I'm
Yes.
and I'm like, they still developed a system where they had to hide their deity behind. So I'm like, why they still practicing secrecy if they free?
Why they speaking French? Because Dessalines said that they
Yeah,
would not be free if they continued to speak French.
right,
They never made Creole the national language of the country.
right. Mm, that's crazy.
Okay.
So can you speak to that? The strength of when someone colonizes your tongue, you know, like the
Well,
maladaption of them taking over people, and like let's take DR for an example. That is a byproduct of rape culture, of grape culture, right? And then they also are branded with the language, the whole lingua, the tongue, speaking someone else's, right? But when I look at someone from that area, I can't see them speaking nothing but that. And then you
well, they
think,
do. They do. They do. So they speak Spanish like black folks speak English.
mm-hmm,
It's broken,
it's
right?
broken,
Okay, and this didn't happen over but the last maybe 70, 100 years. Because I know Cubans who told me that their grandparents didn't speak Spanish well.
right?
Okay? And I'd be like, well, what did they speak? They'd be like Bosal, which is a pigeon tank language of West Africa, right? That's spread throughout the diaspora. But when you don't speak your language, it's like the fifth element. You're not gonna open up the stones because you
Right.
don't got the right frequency. Because in the language is the frequency, is the resonance, right? So
It's
you
the
get to speaking
right.
some other shit. You ain't turning the motherfucking computer on because it's voice activated and it only understands the language that it came from. So you start speaking some other shit to it, it'd be like it's a little scrambled. You understand? So that, and to the credit of Cubans, well, I can't really say it with Vodun because I'm not that stoked in it. I have people that did, but I'm not involved in it. I can tell you unequivocally in Look With Me, the songs that they sing to the Orisha, ain't none of that shit got no Spanish in it.
Right.
That shit is all African. And the fact that they maintain this lingua franca through the music, right? Whereas in contrast to Haiti got, so that black people, so people will go, oh, I don't deal with that Look With Me because that's too Spanish. I'm like, but you don't say that about Haiti and French, right? Because this is a part of the aesthetical racism that we suffer from. That you think because you see somebody a certain skin tone that they're more African or less African, right? And until you know that the Nigerians, they got niggas that look like French Montana over there, they look Puerto Rican, and them niggas is Yoruba all the way through and through. So I promise you, there's a famous dude, that Nigerian actor named Van Vicker. If you look him up, you would think you was looking at a Spanish nigga, right? This nigga look like he got the curly hair, he got the little mustache, he light-skinned and all that. That nigga is Nigerian, okay? So we have been aesthetically enslaved with the idea, thinking that, oh, those people are dark skinned, so they must be more African, right? And your culture is performed in your aesthetics and the things that you do in your culture, what you sing, what you speak, what you eat, how you dress, how you live and die, right? So most people have the mistaken identity that, oh yeah, they just over there doing some Santeria. Like that Santeria is really an epithet. It's a foul epithet to us. I don't do Santeria. What are you talking about? I do not have Santa Barbara in my house. I have Shango, period. Now, is Santa Barbara associated to him? Yes. That is the version of Shango on this frequency that I can deal with, but it's not Shango. You understand? Right. And that's the same thing like the Spider-Man universe. So there's Peter Parker and there's a bunch of other Spider-Mans, but only one Peter Parker. You know what I'm saying? And so they people have this aesthetical slavery that they're like, oh, that's that Spanish shit, because you see Ricky Ricardo, but that's not who resides in Cuba. The vast majority of them niggas look black as leather. You heard? And they become very exclusive when it comes down to skin tones, that they be like, hey, white boy, you go to the back because this ain't your shit. You feel me? Yeah, you Cuban. Yeah, but that don't give you access to the African shit.
So
you feel me?
Give us some access. Some I'm sure that there's a great amount of people in the audience who have not made it to Cuba, who do not understand the system of how things work, or may have heard things about spirituality on the island. What exactly is there? How does it operate? And how has it been able to operate in proximity to the Catholic Church for X amount of years? Where do they brush? Where do they clash? And where do they gel?
Okay. So first we have to acknowledge that Catholicism allows for aesthetic presentation and expression, right? They have paintings, they have sculptures, right? Yes. Protestantism doesn't allow that. So the first thing is that just as Catholics, they allow the Africans a day off. They told the plantation workers, you can't work them niggas on the Sabbath. You got to get in that day. And for just that reason, that allowed the Africans a little bit of time to do something other than cut cane and tobacco. So the earliest foundations were what they call cabildos, which were mutual aid societies. In order to get a cabildo, you had to participate in church on Sunday. So you had to come do the catechism, and then after that, you got the rest of the day free. And so these cabildos would get their permits and their licenses from the Catholic Church. So that these cabildos were based off of nationalities or ethnic groups, right? Where they were able to come together and speak their language and sing their songs and do all these different things. from this, they started these mutual aid societies where they were able to purchase each other out of bondage. And so they would purchase those who were most important to the cult. So if you was a priest, they'd be like, yo, get him out of bondage so we could get him to do some, you know what I'm saying, do some magic, right? So that they had a special, it's like Stockholm syndrome a little bit. Like the Catholic Church, you know what I'm saying, did this to us, but it gave us little liberties that allowed us to maintain ourselves, right?
Right.
As it was told to me by an old Bible owl, the phrase Santeria came by way of hysteria in Cuba. So there's a group of people, an ethnic group of people known as the Abakwa, and they would necessarily be native to what is Cameroon and Gabon, right? Abakwa. They are of the people of Efik and Ekpe ethnicity, and they have a specific cult they call Abakwa.
Okay.
Where they would dance as a masquerade.
So let's get this right. Let's get this clear. Hold on. I just want to clear the air because there's a lot of controversy over here on the continental mainline. So are you saying undoubtedly that there were African melanated deposits on the island of Cuba that come from the continent, and these are not indigenous people that were
no, these are Africans. So what happens is in Cuba, they recognize that the Native Americans, that the people native there died off, the vast majority died off because of disease.
Yes.
And some of them committed ritual suicide, right, where they would jump off this cliff in a town called Matanzas. And they call it Matanzas because the word Matanzas in Spanish means slaughter. And so it was where the natives, they slaughtered themselves. They would rather die than to work for the white boy. And so because of that, within our ceremonies, when it is time for the sacrifice of the animals, we call it the matanza, the slaughtering, to honor those Native Americans that took their lives in contrast to the colonial. Okay? So there was this hysteria in Cuba about these Africans and their traditions, that one day a young woman of a plantation owner, she was raped and killed and chopped up and thrown into a well. And so the newspapers made a big hysteria about it, and the one of the overseers blamed the Abakwa, the Nyanigos. So there was this hysteria about these African traditions. So one day, this African on December 4th was honoring Santa Barbara, right? The ritual day for his feast for Saint Barbara. But on his altar, he had his Shango. And they began to play their drums and all of that. And
right.
Like some of the colonials would call the police. And so when the police came, they came and confiscated everything. When the man went to court, he represented himself, and he said, yes, I had my ethnic things on the altar to represent my ethnicity, but if you can see, there was a statue of Santa Barbara, and we were worshiping Santa Barbara on this feast day.
Yes.
Well, he beat the case. In the newspaper, they took the word saint and mixed it with brujeria and came up with Santeria.
Yeah. So it was a typo.
Yes, it was a hysteria. It was a buzzword. You feel me? So the Africans don't call themselves that. They call themselves by the ethnic group. See, because that's the other part. The Yoruba are not a tribe. They are a nation, right? It requires 3 families to make a clan. It requires 3 clans to make a tribe. That's why it's called tribe, T-R-I, tribe, 3. 3 clans make a tribe. 4 tribes make a nation. Okay? The Yoruba are not a tribe, they are a nation, because within them there are these different clans in different city-states that they don't that they call themselves by that. They don't call themselves Yoruba because that was the epithet given to them after the use of the necessity of the the Bible. They needed to convert the Bible into a Yoruba-speaking language so that they convert the people. So it came up with what was the most popular language at the time, which was the Oyo, because the Oyo were deeply invested in trade. And so everybody in the area spoke a little bit of their dialect because they had to trade with them. Right. So they made this become Yoruba proper in terms of the language, right? The problem with the Cubans, the people that they brought to Cuba, was when they came to Cuba, they did not have the word Yoruba. They did not know that word. So when you brought them a book and be like, yeah, you're the Yoruba, they'd be like, no, I ain't. I don't know what that is. Because they were identified by different ethnic groups, the Ijesa, the Edo, the Ijebu, the Arara, right? They identify themselves with these ports or these tribes that they came from, right? So the idea of Santeria is really an epithet. People don't like Santeria. Like, we say that shit jokingly. Like, oh yeah, they playing with the Santerias and shit.
Right.
But we don't take that. That's not how we identify ourselves. We identify ourselves as Omonago or Lukumi. Okay?
Yes.
Now, in Cuba particularly, and so this is the contrast of why these things did not maintain on the continental United States, is because of Protestantism. Protestantism don't let you paint no pictures, you can't sing no songs, don't get all possessed and none of that shit. So this is why we don't maintain these customs, because they were bred out of us, right? By the kind of Christianity that they fed to us. So this is why when people say that the Caribbean has more culture, yes, because of their association to Catholicism.
Right, Catholicism.
Yeah.
So, right. Interesting. You know what I'm saying? And I also make note of Catholicism's stronghold in spiritual centers in particular, that they're the ones that get close proximity to dabble most with the areas and pockets of our people where we deal with our magic. Whether that be New Orleans, run by Jesuits, whether that be Haiti, run by the Catholics, whether that be, like you said, Cuba, PRDR, anything that's dealing with a aspect of the blending of what it is that we have going on out in them parts. When you get on the continent, you know what I'm saying, you see them and you see the French.
Yes.
They're always embedding themselves in spiritual centers and at the midst of things in Gabon, in Benin, in Haiti, in Louisiana, and of the sort. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but then also, like you said, the elements of Christianity that we have been exposed to or indoctrinated under, whereas this is a lot of people's first introduction now to this aspect of Protestantism under this administration, dealing with the evangelicals. Now, we grew up on Jim and Tammy Baker, Pat Cannon, you know what I'm saying? We knew about the fringes. We knew where this shit gets batshit crazy. A lot of people were never exposed to this, and they don't know how to make the differentiation. Whereas I explained to them, there's 45,000 denominations of Christianity.
Yes, but the thing about Catholicism is that shit is really paganism. That shit ain't talking about no. Them niggas talking about some other shit. That shit is magic. It's really synchronized paganism, right? That's why the recent shit was so easy to necessarily synchronize with, because that shit is really paganism, right? The tree, all that shit, is them niggas worshiping some other gods that they was like, all right, just pay your taxes, right?
Yeah, so, put it together for Rome, and he pulled all of those pagan ceremonies and rituals because to expand the base, he's now decentralizing the chosen, right? To say we're going to make this accessible to Gentiles. Everybody come in. So we got to bring the Eucharist from these pagans over here, bring the trees from these pagans over here. You know what I mean? So he made it one big animal farm.
Exactly. And so when you don't see no Catholicism, the black people are void of the relationship between those things that are in between us and God, right? So like somebody said something, they was like, oh, I want to be able to talk to God. Okay, well, what you gonna do when you talk to God? What kind of conversation is that? You talking to somebody that knows everything. He's gonna answer your questions before you even formulate them, right? So that you get in the presence of God and God is like, Blue, 32, Brooklyn, start answering questions. You're like, what? You ain't even had made the questions yet, because how can you have a conversation with that which is most intelligent over you, right? And so the idea of paganism, and I shouldn't even say paganism, but just indigenous belief, but they understand the hierarchy between that. If you in the fucking mailroom, you don't get to talk to the CEO. My nigga, what are you talking about? You might see him on the elevator and be like, "Yo, I want Christmas off." He'd be like, "Okay," but he don't know who your boss is, and he don't know how you not coming to work is going to affect the machine, right? Because he's not involved in that. He's worrying about the stockholders. He's worrying about the insurance. He's worrying about the building. He got other things. Yeah, so he's worrying about whether the stocks go up and down. You in the mailroom and whether or not you get off on fucking Christmas Eve is of no consequence to him. And it's the same thing with God. See, because the Christian idea of God, or the Abrahamic faith or particular perspective of God, is that God made the world in 6 days and rested on the seventh. But my architect is still creating. He ain't stopped. He or she didn't stop. They are still creating. The universe is still expanding. And so they think they think in these absolutes. Like, nah, my so that I explain to people, I don't know what God is. That's something that you wrestle with. I know Olofi. Olofi is indifferent to any of this shit. He doesn't give a fuck, because every morning the sun gonna come up, whether or not you there or not. So it's insignificant to the sun. So your job and your circumstances insignificant to the sun. The sun has other tasks to do that it must do. It got to get up every morning. It got to shine for all of the flowers. It got to make them look instant. The temperatures, all of that.
Right.
So we have this understanding from an indigenous perspective that there is a hierarchy, and so you can't just get to the source, because what are you bothering the source for? There's other things. There's other managerial positions that you could go and haggle with. That would be like, oh, word, you ain't getting no luck. Nah, son, I ain't getting no luck, man. Tell luck to come over here, right? And so you don't worry yourself about because there's a story that this girl told me one day in my cousin's crib. We were talking some deep shit. She was like, there's a story of a man, and the man is walking on the shore of the beach, and he's pondering the meaning of life. And he gets distracted by this little girl who he sees that has this little shovel and bucket, and she's digging a hole. And every once in a while, she goes to the ocean, puts water into the hole. So he got curious that he went and asked the little girl. He said, let me ask you a question. What are you doing? She says, I'm going to put the ocean in this hole. He said, you can't do that. The ocean is too big. She says, and the mystery of God is too big to fit in your head. So stop wondering. Right? Get busy. Stop worrying about God. God doing what God do. You not God's motherfucking inspector to tell God what God is and ain't supposed to do. Get out of that. Right? So once you get to that understanding, then you become responsible for accountability in your life. What did you say to people to make them not like you? What was your attitude that day? Did you just wake up with an attitude and not speak to everybody when you came out and then expect everybody to be nice to you? No, you insulted some people, right? This is called etiquette. This is how human beings interact and interface with one another. So that all of our morale comes from the ability for us to be cooperative with one another, right? So all of so when they give you thou shalt not kill, well, if you kill somebody, that's less niggas to help us fight the fucking jaguar or whatever it is that bothers us every day, right? Thou shalt not sleep with the neighbor's wife. He's gonna want to fight, which is gonna lead it to a killing, which is less people to build the dam when we need to build the dam. This is all about mortality, right? Your morality.
The fragility of mortality.
Get the fragility, right? So this is how ancestors become so important, because somebody had to have that bad situation. They'd be like, don't go over there. That nigga Cliff fell off the cliff. That's why we named him that. Okay. Don't be over there fucking around with the cliff because you might fall. That
And
information,
these stories,
yeah.
these stories are in your toolkit for a reason. You know,
right.
There's a reason that life compounds, and you have access to this compendium of information because the continuation of your life is contingent upon you making the best decisions. And you need the more intel that you have, the better decisions that you can make. The better decisions that you can make, the more long you can potentially be here, because those decisions or a series of the right ones is going to put you in a better position. So we all working for variables down here to extend our telomeres, which, you know, once you get here, your stopwatch starts counting. And
this is a resort.
Yeah, this is a resort. You just passing through.
Yeah.
What can you strike to make it really count and leave something behind that resounds, through time, and create more bloodline, extend this thing forward. That's what it's about. You know what I'm saying? So, at least in my personal opinion, and again, that's just my observation. But tell us more about Cuba, bro. What exactly are they going through, and what are your short-term predictions for what may potentially happen?
Well, I spoke to my godmother the other day, and every time I tweet, I'm like, "Yo, you all right?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm Cuban. It's all right." And so they're used to the lack of resources, right? And they're very communal in that. So like, when there's nobody there to pick up the garbage, they'll decide to put the garbage. Everybody will join in and get to cleaning the garbage and putting it somewhere where it's not going to affect everybody, right? Because the gas ain't no gas. It means the trucks can't come and pick up the garbage, and so they understand that 17 days of garbage, motherfucker, you start to have a plague, right? So what the United States is really trying to do is they're trying to wait them out till there's nothing left, right? Because it's like a beef. And the two people that had the beef, they really kind of squashed that shit already. But everybody else in the hood think that they still got beef. So they got to keep it up. That when they see each other, yo, my nigga, when I see you. But behind closed doors, they really like, yo, son, this shit is getting played out. And so the United States is waiting for it to be where they don't have any oil. Then it becomes a humanitarian crisis. And then Trump comes in and becomes the savior. You understand? So them niggas over there starving. Okay. That's why he changed the shit what Obama did, because he wants to be known as the one that fixed the situation. You understand? So Obama, no, you can't play around with the niggas. No, cut the niggas back off. So that I could tell them, look, I'm your savior. I came and brought y'all some gasoline. Okay? And so now what you're about to see with Cuba is it's about to, like I said, it's about to turn into Puerto Rico 3.0. Now, are they going to exploit the shit? Certainly. They've already mapped out all of the beachfront property that they're about to start building up. You understand? Because there's a difference. When you go to Puerto Rico, outside of Old San Juan, ain't no culture. That's it. Cuba has a multitude of fucking cultures, African cultures, that maintain themselves there, that they can entertain you with. So when you go to the casino, there's going to be motherfuckers playing drums and the motherfucking thing and singing the songs, right? And they're going to create a Disneyland for adults. You understand? So you can go over there and you could do some witchcraft to your wife and get some mojitos and dance some salsa and get some souvenirs. You understand? And you could buy you some cheap motherfucking trim, because the girl's gonna be selling the trim in order to survive. Because you got one of the things that nobody's factoring is that you have a whole generation of people that they don't work like we do. Them niggas, they done put in their 3 years of work, and now them niggas is retired. They just get their little stipend. So they got to figure out how you going to feed these people, because you can't just all of a sudden come up there with motherfucking capitalism and tell these people who haven't been working for the last 20 years that they got to go back to work. Understand? So they're trying to figure out. So like right now they're talking about the Castro family is inking out an amnesty deal so that they don't go to jail like Maduro and the motherfuckers did, right? They trying to work it out so that they can slide out with some money, because the interest is, see, that's the other part. For many, many, many decades, Cuba has only been about Havana and Santiago. And there's a whole island in the middle. And the white boys have figured out that they got all kinds of waterfalls and all types of fucking shit in the middle of Cuba. There's all these beautiful places that are in the country that they're gonna start making Airbnbs for and all type of shit. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And I predict there's going to be a ferry, a party boat from Miami to Havana, 90 minutes. It's going to be a party boat. You can get a ticket like you go to Atlantic City, you get on the boat, go to Cuba, and then you get back on the boat at a certain time. I promise you. Because they're about to turn it into, because that's why they're building everybody up for all of this gambling. You got all this online gambling. Everybody gambling on sports and all type of shit. They're about to make that shit normalized. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And before, I used to have a way about it, but my godmother has suffered through 60 years of fucking poverty. Man, them people just deserve some kind of modern fucking conveniences, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just unfair for them to not be in the world. And so I don't have no political opinion about the shit any longer, because there's people that are starving there. You understand? Motherfuckers are trying their best to maintain. They could give a fuck about who the president is. At this point, them niggas, and if you ever talk to them, they'll tell you that they don't hate Fidel. They just felt like he disappointed them. They thought it was going to be great. They was like, yeah, let's do it. And then the world turned their back on them, and they were stuck in this fucking, embargo for 50 years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's unfortunate. Like I said, I don't have a political opinion at this point, because of, like I said, I just want my godmother to have these modern conveniences. You know what I mean? They shouldn't have to live so fucking hard. Not this close to the United States. That's just ridiculous, right? And it's unfortunate. So now the religion has been exploited, because it becomes the new thing on TikTok and all that. Everybody a priest and all kinds of shit. And everybody doing this for clout, number one, and number two, they think they're going to get some kind of power out of it. Yeah. So,
yes, going on online with the, with the TikTok. So, I mean, how do you feel about ceremonies being broadcasted, secrets being shared? For the most part, for the first time, people getting insight into things that they haven't previously had, access to.
cut off by mistake.
Okay. Yeah. Did you hear the?
Say it again.
I was saying. Damn, what did I just say? I was speaking to the fact that
Yeah.
back.
Say it again.
I'm trying to catch my thought. I lost my train of thought for a second. But for the most part, it's speaking to the commerciality of spirituality on these social media sites, where they're sharing secrets and people are getting a front seat into ceremony and things that they have never had an inside to before. Is this a desecration of a system? Like, how does one account for this?
Well, there's a lot of things happening in the spiritual world. So one of the things is the proliferation of E5. Historically, the E5 boys had something to do with us being sold there. Okay. And it had to do with the change of money in West Africa. So they went from a cowrie shell to all of a sudden palm nuts becoming the preferred commodity.
Right.
Right. This is during the palm oil production time industry. And so the Ifa boys took advantage of the royal houses, because really Ifa comes from nomads. Okay, they are the remnants of those from the Abrahamic faiths that were allowed to come through and trade with the great kingdoms of West Africa. And so what
Remnants
they
of
did
the
was,
tribes, right? Well,
huh?
remnants of the tribes.
Well, first you have to understand how do you get these nomadic people? You get the nomadic people because indigenous people have an oracle. So when a child is born, they're gonna divine to see what type of citizen he's gonna be. And when he's not a good citizen, at some point they're not fitting to feed you and put you in a hole. They're gonna let you out into the wilderness. And so a group of people start to congregate amongst themselves, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
they band together on some Lord of the Flies shit. And then you start to get marauders, where they start showing up trying to take their women and take the food. So what do? The civilized people build a wall, keep the niggas out, right? And then they still got to deal with these motherfuckers trying to break in. So somebody got the good idea to give these motherfuckers a job. So take these strawberries over there and bring back the blueberries, right? Now, that was going on until the grain came into the world. And when grain came into the world, it changed, because now writing and arithmetic must be invented, because the grain don't weigh. See, like 5 oranges is antiquated. I tell you, right. 5 oranges, right? But when you get to rice, you're not fitting to count every kernel of rice. So now they're going to have it by my hand and your hand, but my hand and your hand are not equal.
Not the same, right? So we got to come up with what they called, I was reading the other day, yes, you know, these weights, these scales.
Yes, right?
You
So
know
you come up with a standard.
Right.
So now the standard says this is a cup of rice, and the cup of rice costs this much, right? So this is why the earliest alphabet is antiquated to a number, because writing and arithmetic was about ledgery and grain, okay? It was about keeping it. So now you have these people who are civilized to you, and so you tell them to take the goods, but you can't trust them. So you got to teach them how to read and write too, so that they can read the manifest. Look, it's 20 pounds of this shit. When they get over there, it better be 20 pounds, right? So this is where you get the ledgery. And so the major Abrahamic faiths, they talk about the small hat is really the bookkeeper.
Bookkeeper, yes.
The Christian is the collector, and the Arab is the enforcer. Okay, this because then they don't collect money in the mosque. They ain't got no plate going around in the mosque. They ain't got one in the synagogue, but they got one in the motherfucking church. You pay your tithes, right? And if you don't, we're gonna send the Muslims in here. They gonna cut your hand off. You understand? So that they're all related to each other, right? What they did was, at some point, they got rid of the griot and started writing their history, the history that they wanted to hear, right? That made them seem important, because they were marginalized people who had been kicked out of society, right? Okay. And so all of the dissident behaviors are cultivated amongst them. That's why they play with the little boys, because the little boys don't get pregnant. You understand that? Right? Okay. And so this is a part of their culture, right? See, we don't play that. You don't know how to act, we kick you out. Get the fuck out of here. Beat it, right? And so whatever little bit that you've learned in the time from your adolescence, that's what you contribute to your little band of motherfuckers, Lord of the Flies and shit. Well, I know how to make some fire. They be like, all right, he's a bad motherfucker, right? So now, once you get these forts where the people are fortified amongst themselves, the banks are born based on the badass marauders that are in between these city states. So I tell you, look, you need to go with me. These niggas ain't never gonna come in, because I'm a bad motherfucker. I'm gonna whoop all their ass. So you be like, all right, I'm gonna leave my gold with you, because if I try to ride through your area with the gold, you niggas gonna stick me up, right? So I give it to you and you hold it. But over time, you realize I don't come and check on the gold no more. So you start lending it out the other nigga with a VIG on it. Here, my nigga, take these 30 pounds of gold, but you're going to bring me back 70, right? So this is where you get this interest in all these different things from.
Right.
And so...
loan sharking with interest.
Absolutely. And so all of this dissonant behavior comes from nomads. Now, E5 is a byproduct of that. It is a byproduct of people who came from these Orisha cosmopolitan places. They knew where they came from. They knew what was valuable there. And they went and they ear hustled, right? They caught sound bites of the religion and they constructed their own. You understand? Now, at some point, because one of my elders, he went to make E5 in Nigeria, and they did the ceremony and everything was all great. And he was like, yeah, this is dope. He said, but let me ask you niggas a question. And he was like, what? He said, if E5 is perfect, how you didn't see that white boy come? They got quiet.
They don't like that.
And so this is where the betrayal happened. Because if either your divination system is perfect, or you sold us out. So we probably believe that you sold us out because in the distribution of Orisha people throughout the diaspora, no Babylao showed up in none of the places. They didn't show up in Brazil, they didn't show up in Jamaica, they didn't show up in Haiti, they didn't show up in Cuba, right?
Yeah.
And so we have to suspect that maybe you was a part of that, right? So now today, with the proliferation of mysticism and all of these different things, they are trying to create another church so that they start to shame you or try to corral you into a moral construct of theirs based on these Odu. But Odu don't apply to everybody. It applies to the person that it fell for. So if you're telling me some other shit, that shit don't mean nothing to me. That's not my Odu. And so you can't get me to indoctrinate it into these ideas of morality that you believe in, because that's not what God told me to do. You feel me? And so they are proliferating all of this false information and all of this exploitation because it serves them, so that they become the stewards of God's word again. Oh, now you got to come to us. But the problem is with the Olorishas, the people who are not initiated to E5, who have Orisha, we could talk to anybody. And so we teach each other how to talk to the Orishas and talk to the ancestors and talk to the different spirits. Then niggas be like, yo, pay me and I'll do it for you. You feel me? Which is back to church again. You understand? Yeah. And so there's a
But then I mean, you did say my apologies. Mm-hmm. Can I interject?
Yeah, go ahead.
You said earlier about there being the need and the necessity for a hierarchical system. So when there's a need to say, all right, can you throw your own shells if you don't have a hand at E5? And how do you go about that process? It's not like somebody just all of a sudden just comes into this and says, in order for me to gain access to this information or to sit and speak to my ancestors, they just can't will that into existence. Something has to still walk them through that and teach them how to go about doing it properly. No?
Mm-hmm. Well, so we have a saying. A black cat can see in the dark, but it can't see itself. And so this is why you go for divination. You don't necessarily perform divination on your own. You go so somebody else can see the spots on you and you can recognize them, right? Same reason why you don't read your children or your spouse, because they begin to not listen to you. So if the reading says my son needs to clean his room and his room is a mess, he's not going to hear that from me because I walk past his room every day complaining about that shit, right? So that happened to one of my cousins one time. My uncle used to be on that nigga every yo, dude, not working out. She ain't working out because the room is a mess. He's like, whatever. My uncle passed away. A couple of years later, my cousin like, yo, man, take me to my Babylao. I need to read. I'm like, all right. So I take him to the Babylao. And the Babylao throws him on from the thing. And he tells him, yo, man, you need to clean your room. Me and my other cousin fell out the chair because you couldn't receive that motherfucking information and that wisdom from your father for free. You had to go pay for that so that you respect that information and that advice because you paid for it. You feel me?
Right.
You went to the diviner's house to go get that
You
conversation.
right. You were open and receptive, so you had went with the anticipation to receive.
Yes.
So you ain't had a ball fist when your father was telling it to you. You probably had a ball fist.
Nah, nigga, whatever. You just saying that because you don't like my room.
The audience is asking and requesting. They're asking, do you have a book? And you do have a book. Is there?
I got several books.
Yeah, several books. Is there a website I could put up?
Yeah, OMIDINAProductions.com.
www. Spell it, please.
OMIDINA. OMIDINA production. UCTYNS and then the books are on Omidina. It's the books by Omidina Productions.
Okay.
So that's interesting. They're talking about the book. So the first book that I wrote is a book on spiritualism, right? It's called A Glass of Water and a Candle. I just put that book out. It's in Spanish right now.
Excellent.
Right? Okay. A Glass of Water and a Candle is talking about the foundation of all of this mysticism within the African traditional religions, what we call spiritualism, right? Which was going to help you hone your intuitions based on the fact that you're dealing with spirits that you have a familiarity to because these are first ancestors, your family people, right? Family and friends, and learning how to exalt them to a place of communication, right? I also explained the concept that the altar is like a phone booth. It becomes your personal phone booth for you to tap in with the ancestral world, right? It's like calling down south. Let me call the people and see what they say. Then I also came up with I talk about a concept that is being exploited now, is with the spiritual hygiene, which talks about where you go and you pick up things, you need to necessarily be able to clean yourself off because you're going to take the residual spiritual resonance of that place and you're going to carry it with you. So I tell my godsons, you got a pregnant baby moms in the crib and you go to the titty bar and you rubbing on them girls, they are rubbing all of their ambitions on you, right? All of that the fact that the rent is due, their baby father left them, all of that shit, they rubbing it on you.
In their auric field, you picking that up, or you're static, like how you walking past a cat and you bringing that to your quiz, and she's super receptive, and she's absorbing all of that.
Yeah, because you didn't clean off before you went home. You didn't take the leaves from the trees and clean yourself off and take some Florida water and clean yourself off and say a prayer to leave that shit at that place, right? And so if you understand that spirituality is like radiation. Radiation, you could catch radiation, you don't see it. But everybody that you come in contact with, you're going to get them something. Well, it's the same thing with spiritual motherfucking hygiene. So that you could have a son and your son walked the straight line. He a good boy. He just play video games. Secretly, he like to smoke some Zaza with his homeboys. But his homeboys got a trap. They're selling fucking oxys and fake perks and all that in there. He go over there to smoke with them, play a little video games. When he leave, the police see some of that pollen on him. They like, oh, he been in the trap. He must be one of the trappers, right? And so now he's picked up the residuals of the energy that was in that trap house and he's carrying it with him. And now they jump out with their guns and they falsely, shoot him down because they think that he came from the fucking trap house. Yeah, he was in the trap house, but he ain't that type of nigga. But he's picked up some of that dander, some of that hair. You feel me? Proverbial hair of that situation, and he's carrying it with him.
He's dipped in the plasma. So he got the plasma on him, and it's in his field. It's part of his quantum field. And he's a
they can see it.
Yeah, and he's bending his quantum field. He's bending waves, and they're picking up on that.
And so, niggas who got money, if you in their orbit, you start to get money, right? Because that's the attraction that they have. So that's what we get. So now that goes into the whole purpose of why we even kill the animal. So the killing of the animals is not just uh, some some wives' tale thing, or because there's blood, something's going on. No, you're dealing with blood, when blood contains iron.
Right.
And so when you taking these intentions and putting it into a plasma that is moving into the chicken or the goat, and you pray upon it, you put your intentions into the plasma that runs through its blood. When they commit the act of sacrifice, and the blood begins to let onto the icon, that thing that was not tangible has now become tangible within the blood. And as the blood coagulates into the icon, it's magnetizing. And so now what do magnets do? They attract or repel. So if I'm trying to repel bad spirits, that's how I'm programming the stone, so that it's a repelling magnet. So every time something bad comes on, it gets pushed away. If I'm trying to attract it, I'm programming it to attract the job, to attract wealth, to attract the wife, so that those things, when they come in his orbit, they become caught in his force field, right? And it's the blood. The blood has iron in it, and so the iron magnetizes things. This is why they do what they do. This is not why I feel shit. It's not because the blood. No, there is a technical concept to it.
Yeah. The same way that you said, all right, that one would take Florida water, right? And like, let's say someone was sage or you're cutting the resonance because these particular agents are antimicrobial and antibacterial. And what you picked up exists within your field as a negative ion. So you can filter that. So when he's speaking about when the sacrifice is made, the blood as the transmitting utility, right? It is manipulating magnetic fields because of its iron content. So you are now using intent that's based on magnetism to manipulate magnetic fields so you can thwart or gain access to whatever, once again, what your intentions are. So that's
Yes.
why, yeah, your intentions are key to this.
And it's a formula. It's not just the blood. It's the blood of the plants as well.
Speak
Right?
about that.
So
Please.
when we involve ourselves, it's not just about the animals, it's also about the vegetation. So there's certain herbs that need to be used and broken up to create an elixir to bring life to certain things, right?
Yes.
And
Bark,
so
herb.
and so there's a slaughter of the plants before we even get to a slaughter of the animals. Okay? And so these different plants are the reason why people are all able to be online and talk about, if you take mullein and this and that, and you can get healed this. Well, they already had their pharmacology. It's deep in, but we've not had the time nor the access to truly go into that chamber because people are busy living, right? So there hasn't been a priest that's been able to have the money to be like, all right, I'm dedicating myself to study these plants and to see what the true magic is behind them, right? We just know from a very topical perspective that we make these herbs, and then there's certain solutions that are given. If you put these herbs together, then you could do X, Y, and Z. So that even in terms of dietarily, you understand that the Yoruba, the reason why they make more twins than anybody else is because of the yam, right?
Yeah.
Right, they eat this yam. So nothing
Magnetism.
that they do is proverbially just some kind of like it's not allegory in that regard. So that
I understand.
Shango is worshiping Oyo because in Oyo lightning strikes more than per capita than any place on the planet.
Right.
So their deity, their construction of deity or phenomena is not unfamiliar to them, right? So they understand these phenomena, and what they're doing is giving an archetype and a trope to them, so that you can relate to them and understand the nature of it, right? So that the deity Agayu, which is the volcano, is a deity that is very not easily approached because you don't know when it's going to go off. right? And so that's the nature of him. So that he's a deity that you wouldn't just be going and taking some bullshit to him and talking about, oh, my baby mother's brother keep talking crazy about me. He don't care. Like, what are you talking about? Get that shit together, right? He's more involved with you having a situation with maybe an addiction, right? Or having an issue with a pain in your body that makes it most uncomfortable for you to not even work and certain like things like that. And so each deity has a specialty that allows you to relate to, so that you can understand the circumstances in a layman's terms. You feel me? So that any situation, whether it be computer, whatever, if I break it to you in layman's terms, you're gonna get it, right? If I'm speaking to you at your level. So that's what this is. It is, and so I would tell them like years ago, like I can't, like, you don't really get the best out of me because most of the people I'm talking to are not initiated. So you don't really get for me to really run it down to you how fucking profound some of this shit is, right?
Right.
Because even if you saw it, even if I told you, the lack of initiation would not allow you to truly comprehend it.
Unlock it, right?
Yeah.
Can't really grasp it
At all.
I can't bring you into the inner chamber and really show you what it's hitting for.
You don't know what that is, so there's nothing for you to compare it to.
Right.
You feel me?
I do, yes.
Like if I were to get into the mechanics of the Orisha, it's a Russian egg. You gotta keep opening it to open up something more, right? So that you understand that we worship stones and cowrie shells. You can't tell me nothing older than that on this planet. You can't find nothing older than that on this planet. A stone and a cowrie shell, it is the ultimate expression and acknowledgement of ancestry, right? Because we understand that the stones, they have life in them, just not the type of life that you understand, but they got life in them. So that you can't say whether or not a stone influenced you to pick it up and throw that motherfucker. You don't know that. You don't know that shit was like, hey, and you picked that shit up and then you threw it in another yard, and that stone had the ambitions to go over there.
Over there, right. It was intentions.
Yeah. Right? Because there was a whole bunch of other stones, but you picked that one up. And the fact that you even picked the stone up, you didn't have no reason to pick that stone up, but the stone influenced you. It was like, hey, right? And you have to be able to acknowledge that so that you understand. And so that goes back to your original question. People be like, oh, well, why I gotta pay for God? And I feel like it's transactional. Motherfucking right. Nigga don't give you a reefer for free. You'll just be like, oh, you smoke weed here, so take some bud every day. Hell no, son. You gotta kick into the till. Right? It's about reciprocity. So we back to the marketplace. Everybody's lying, everybody's wheeling and dealing. And it's okay. Because you got something to do. Right? And today might not be your day. Today the niggas motherfucking hood went through. They sold you some bad motherfucking vegetables and shit. Oh shit. I ain't going over there, man. Right? You learned the lesson. Right? So this is the concept of the Yoruba. And so they don't believe, so we don't believe in rest in peace and all that shit. My nigga, you go to heaven, you better be working for me. You better tell God, knock on God's door, tell that nigga I need some money. Feel
right.
Me? And so we don't, and this is what I'm saying, and that's the part that most people are afraid of, is the laziness. That you gotta really go out there and do something for yourself. Right? So you know that. With celebrities, you seen some people thug it out. They put that work in and then they got on, right? Because they took no for an answer with that. I don't give a fuck. And then sometimes motherfuckers give you another job. They be like, yo, listen, man, you ain't gonna be a rapper, but listen, I got this job for you. You could be motherfucking A&R, and now the nigga become famous. You feel me?
Yeah, that part.
So you got to be in it to win it. You're not gonna get. With the celebrities, it's at home. You got to go where they at.
Yeah, go where they at. It's like Lotto. You got to be in it to win it.
and it's a winning. So this is not an idol tradition. We don't worship idols. There's nothing idol about Shango in my room. That nigga talk. He makes it happen. I promise you, my nigga. I'll be like, yo, this, that, and third. And then nigga be like, wait a second, hold on. And then some shit come and happen, and it might not happen the way that I idealistically want it to happen, but it happens.
But it happens.
You feel me? And one must be able to recognize that. To be like, yo, that shit was beyond me. Right? So that's one of the things about the tradition is that it gives you evidence. So like I could take you right now, you come to my house and we do a reading, right? Yeah. I tell you a bunch of things. Then one day I'll be like, yo, Blue, they're having a drumming over here. Meet me over there. And you come meet me and somebody get possessed. And they was not at that reading. I can tell that person 2 words about you. And then niggas come and say the same conversation. You can bet your ass like, oh, nah, that shit is real. I'm a fucking, because I seen it in motion. I seen it in real time. You feel me? And not that, oh, I see love in your life. No. I'm telling you, this is about to happen. Blah, blah, blah. And motherfuckers be like, yo, son, just like you told me, that shit happened just like that. Yeah, I'm telling you, because that's what that shit said. Right?
Right.
I'm not a magician. I don't do no tricks. I just tell you what the fuck that shit said. And I've been taught to learn and to interpret it to the best of my ability so that I'm going to get to every nook and cranny like, yo. And so most of the times the reading is first about letting you understand that this shit is real. So we're going to talk about the past. Yo, it was a time when you used to do X, Y, and Z. And they can be like, how you know that? Yeah, because they're talking about that. Right? And right now, you're going through X, Y, and Z. But if you make these decisions, you're going to fall into that, or that. You understand? It's very practical, right? And so all of the people that, so like you hear me beefing with the people that be on TikTok and all that, and my beef issue is that Black people have a tendency to try to co-opt shit without mastering it, right? So you got initiated 2 years ago. You should not be on TikTok telling nobody nothing. You should be still learning. You got a whole 20 years to get that shit right, right? So, and the idea that you're not even responsible to realize that you're being irresponsible and leading people into something that you don't have all of the faculties for. You know what I'm saying? So that I tell motherfuckers, everybody come thinking that they Neo in the Matrix, and they'll be like, nah, you're not. You feel me? You're not. You just a actor in a play. Play your part, right? And you can't switch, you know what I'm saying, roles with everybody. Some shit ain't for you. But you have to be able to accept that. And that's a part of the thing that, so that's why you'll get people that'll come into it and they don't like it because they got to be accountable. They want me to kill a chicken and they're going to continue to fuck whores on Backpage and wonder why they got herpes. What? You understand?
I do. I absolutely do. Yeah, that's our people. And when I have sat with, and this goes into a different direction. When I have sat with elders in the discipline, in the tradition, they talk crazy about niggas over here. And then, you know, I'm registering it because then people over here is talking crazy about them. And I'm finding myself stuck in the middle because I'm like, what you saying ain't wrong, and what you saying ain't wrong. But both of y'all kind of still need to talk, and that'll never happen. And then we left to pick these pieces up. So what do you feel about these diaspora wars that are taking place where there's a disregard and a disrespect for people's traditions, and there is tension because of either one, what people think they know but they don't know, or also what people know and they're unwilling to not compromise on, where the elders over there is like, y'all niggas is lost and that's not gonna change. I'm like,
well, retrospects, right? So we're at the age where we can evenly weigh out the retrospect and go back and look at that shit and be like, right? So you gotta really give it up to your elders because they can see further than you because they've seen certain circumstances and they know the patterns, right? So like in something like hip hop, we was going hard on Dolores C. Tucker, but she was telling us where we was about to get to.
You got to spin the block now and say, take some of that back. She was right all along.
Nah, every time I get a chance, I say a prayer
I
for
see
her.
you. I see you speak on it publicly, like, yo, so they all see Dolores Tucker apology, and I'm right with you.
Yeah, she was like, yo, y'all are destroying our community. And we like, no, the shit don't influence us. Right. Now here we are, where Megan Thee Stallion had to tell the girl, nah, don't twerk up here. That ain't for you. Right? But she's doing that because she's seeing you doing it. And without the proper context. Right? So so that I'm always like, so like even with the where we at today traditionally in terms of the local meat tradition, the Cubans from back in the 60s said this was gonna happen. It was like, y'all don't love this shit. Y'all just gonna exploit it. You taking pictures. You don't really love this. They told us. Here we are. I told my elders 25 years ago, I was like, yo, what y'all gonna do? Because little niggas is running around here with beads on, talking about they got them from the Botanical. What y'all gonna do about that? Oh, wow. Right? Because you got to understand that the vast majority of the population of them are pacifists. Right? And that's what's so scary about this shit now is that the type of Orisha tradition that they're trying to bring to people is just some fake, it's just church re-rap, right? So you get these people, they start talking about Iwa Pele. I'm like, there is no such thing as Iwa Pele. That is a construct that came to the Yorubas after colonialization. Good character. Who the fuck got good character? Because somebody got to be the fucking villain. Somebody. See, niggas don't understand that. Like, you say you love God, but what if God gave you a mission that was heinous, that was for the greater good of things? Would you now put yourself out there to become the villain? To be known as the one that did the, you understand?
Bro. Right. I go through this when I'm reading the Old Testament to them, and I'm like, y'all keeps telling me that y'all these people, but y'all can't do these things. Y'all don't, and it's showing you in the modern day context that y'all telling me that them people is fake, but they look a lot more like these people than y'all do. Because they're doing this shit, this ordained that I'm reading in the Old Testament, that's consistent with what I'm seeing them do today. And I'm like, y'all don't got the heart or the stomach for it. So why you want to show me the Epstein? You saying he's more of a monster than you can potentially be to save your children or preserve your blood? Because if you telling me that they eating babies, who gonna protect the babies? Do you got it in you? Because they willing to go all the way with it, and you shirking your face to that. So I'm like, it's not about losing yourself and getting on their level, but I'm just like, it doesn't seem like you have it in you. Like you sound.
Let me tell you. First of all, they always say that you gotta work from home first.
Oh, you see them was poking the bear. Now the bear got up and showed you the fangs, the tails, and the horns.
Well, see,
people don't want to look.
But see, that's the thing about the millennials, right? They are a generation of cynics, right? They cynical about everything.
Cynics.
And they don't understand the dynamics of the generation you come from, right? So they don't really have the right to say what R. Kelly did wrong or right because they don't come from that time. They don't come from the time when you was in junior high school, the high school niggas is there to pick up the girls. And then when you got to high school, the niggas from college and then from the projects was there to pick up the girls, right? And that was an understood thing culturally because you don't know that Miss May got 7 grandchildren in her house right now. And The oldest one is 16. And she like, you know what? Daquan could come and pick her up because I can't pay for her. Because she needs sanitary napkins now and new clothes. And I got these other 6 kids in here. And she gonna have a bed over there with Daquan. So you know what? I'm gonna let her go with this older dude that's maybe 23 because he could give her a better life. See, these millennials don't understand that part of
Right.
the
So,
dynamic.
but not even our generation understands, right? That, like, take for instance, me and you, we was born during a time called Pluto and Libra. Pluto's transformation, Libra's relationships and contracts. So when the social dynamic and the social hierarchy changes, then things start shifting as well, right? And at the end of the day, it's going to come down to mate and ritual and putting food on the table. So if those two go together, because now the social hierarchy, right? And that's where you get getting your bread from, and that bread has to trickle down because it still has to be a distribution system. How does that happen? He needs to be propositioned for the things that he sees value, and that's how he's going to break bread. You feel me? The fact that he's living the fast life means potentially he may also potentially crash out. So the way he engages is going to be, crash and burn as well. It's going to be
absolutely.
You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how that selection happens in a social hierarchy of where in the mating ceremony of a situation like that, she's gonna go towards the security. She's gonna go towards the biggest, baddest nigga because now this epsilon society, this social hierarchy, he appears to be the dominant one.
Right. Well, so the thing about it is this. Everything, so like we are overwhelmed right now with the with all of the woes of the world, right? I wouldn't know what the fuck was going on in Palestine if I didn't have this fucking Black Mirror in my hand. I wouldn't know what the fuck was going on. I could care less, right? And the overexertion of this emotional gland that we're supposed to have for all of this, that shit is on purpose. They trying to overload you with you know what I'm saying? With this overstimulation. You following me?
Yes.
And so I had to necessarily pull back from all of that shit and be like, yo, nah, son, that's not my reality. And I'm not fitting to give no energy to that shit, right? Because when my ancestors was picking that kind, didn't nobody care on the other side of the world and wasn't thinking about them niggas, right? They wasn't expelling their energy, sending it to someplace else. I need this energy to stay here and be creative and do something for my people here. You understand what I mean? So that
I do.
That's why, so like even with old boy, right? The one thing that I can be sure about with this during this administration is that them Pegger was gonna do what they've been doing. Feel me? He ain't jerking me off, selling me no dream, no pipe dream. Feel me? That I'm not worried about it. I'm like, where they bombing over there. That's just nice. I just need to know so I can get the motherfucking gas before they start acting stupid. You feel what I'm saying? So I can understand what the trends are and things of that nature. But I'm very clear that he's doing what he's supposed to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't give my emotional energy to hating on that motherfucker, man. I could care less. Like, word, he's just like the last 46 of them that was up there, or 45 of them. You feel me? I don't care what he's talking about. What affects me is my bottom line. Because, as we adults now, right? We not teenagers. We not in the street. We not young people. We adults. My nigga, I worry about what the motherfucking mortgage price is going to be looking like. I wonder about what the, you know what I'm saying, what the gas gonna be looking like, and I wonder about my little liberties that I'm able to have. You feel what I'm saying? That I know because I've been to Cuba. Niggas don't be just talking political. You ain't just having no conversation about no politics outside. Nigga hit you upside the head and take you to jail. You feel me? You know, that shit still, you know, that shit got a communist regime, my nigga. You ain't been. Yo, it was one time I was in the motherfucking Western Union. They was like, oh, you can't receive no money because you American. I was like, but that shit is an American company. They was like, so what? You can't get no money. And I started getting loud. And my godmother was like, yo. And I had to catch myself. Like, whoa, I'm in another country. These niggas, they ain't got to go, and they got beef with my country. These niggas would be like, shut this stupid ass up and get that stuff. So I understand the liberties of being a Yankee, right? And I take full responsibility because that shit is a part of my existence and this reality that I'm in, right? So I try not to let that shit be like, so like, as a nigga that live in the South now, I don't give a fuck what's going on in New York. Niggas be snowballing, niggas doing this and that. I don't care because I'm not there. And that shit ain't going to affect me particularly. You know what I mean? It might get, the ripples might hit me later on. So I realized that they do this because that's what the whole Matrix was about. They said that the first Matrix didn't work because they didn't have a stimuli for the fucking people to keep making energy. So they came up with the second Matrix, had niggas dreaming and thinking that they was doing something so that they could keep that body pumping that energy. So, nah, you can't have none of mine. I don't care. Niggas be commenting, doing all that. And you could earnestly comment with somebody and nigga take that shit fucking, you know what I'm saying, the wrong way. What? Took my SMD, blah, blah, blah. You'd be like, word, I was just trying to tell you you had the motherfucking shoe on the wrong foot. Be like, F you, right? So now I realize that this thing is it's a fucking parasite for emotions. Rage baiting, all that kind of shit. Like, you feel me? And so to the magic, motherfuckers don't be wanting to play around.
I sent that link, by the way.
Oh, I sent it to him, yeah, because he was asking, he's trying to watch this. I sent this shit to him. The idea. So now we back to the beginning. Why they don't like to have the negotiate with God, right? Because motherfuckers don't want to put in nothing. They want to put in nothing and get something. Okay? And so this is when it becomes real. Yes, God is transactional, which means that, yeah, if you want to continue the shit to be good, you got to be on your good foot. You feel me? So, like, you're going to always have to keep haggling in order to stay in the mix. It ain't never going to get to a place where you just pay and then you just go to sit down and watch. No, my nigga. This is participation. You know what I'm saying? You in a virtual joint.
This story's participatory.
Absolutely.
You got to be in it to win it, like Lotto.
Absolutely. You ain't gonna stand on the sidelines and be commenting about shit. No, sir. You ain't. Yeah. You feel me? And so you gotta pay attention. And so you gotta look at things and you gotta question whether or not this is theater or not. Right? So everything, I'll be like, let me see. Oh, 50 and T.I. beefing. I don't know about that. Maybe this is just to get T.I.'s kids to get into the motherfucking market so that we know them as a household name and we respect them because they done got into it with 50. Because what the fuck does he care about music? He's off doing some other shit. Right? So I gotta look at everything and be like, is this because we understand that Jay and Nas resurrected each other with that shit. Huh? Resurrected each other. Nas is doing music right now because of that shit with Ether. You feel me? And Jay-Z and him probably was shaking hands behind the motherfucking thing. It was like, yo, son, you gonna throw a shot at me, I'm gonna let you win this.
All that.
And so this is what they're doing right now with all of this Cuba shit. Like I said, I call my godmother and I'd be like, yo, you all right? And she'd be like, yeah, she watching TV. You know what I'm saying? She's like, yeah, nigga, we just waiting for the niggas to cut this bullshit out. Oh, okay. Right? But then somebody gonna have a thing, they're gonna show you all the garbage. And that might have been yesterday. You feel me? It might have been yesterday, because I know Cubans, they niggas will go out there with their motherfucking brooms and their shovels and they get to moving that shit on their own. Niggas will get a nigga with a horse and a carriage and put that shit, man. Take that shit out of here, man. You feel me? So, you know, and this is the thing, so we never know. When the shit happened in Hawaii, I don't know that shit burnt up because I can't go down the block and see that shit. I can't see it. I don't know nobody that can call me like, yo, son, did that shit really burn? Niggas be like, nah, they ain't burn. Niggas burned up a couple motherfucking old factories, some shit. Word? Oh, okay. And so now, because this Black Mirror motherfuckers, they believe in this shit. Right? They believe in what comes out of this mirror. Oh, no, I see that. Nowadays, I look at videos and I'm like, is that AI? Right?
Is that AI? Can't tell no more.
Tell.
Crazy.
Can't tell no more. They had a video out yesterday.
Can't tell no more.
With Big and Pop rapping, talking about they should have never had this fight and all that shit like that. In 5 years, them little niggas won't know whether or not that shit real or not.
Nah, they won't know. I seen a video of RFK. Totally, I was like, it's visually they got it down pat. It was based on what he was saying that I was like, he'd be wigging, but I don't think he was wigging like that. Yeah, you can't tell no more.
Can't tell no more. Right?
So
the Jesuits are lining up their pieces on the board. We thought the New World Order was them coming down and niggas walking through the streets with motherfuckers. No, the New World Order is they're about to separate. So what they're not talking about is, you spoke about this, the Monroe Accord. Them niggas trying to make the United States one. They're trying to make it America, not the United States of America. America, from Greenland all the way down to South America, right?
Oh, the Argentina,
if that goes down, China is going to consume all of the Asian countries, including North Korea. You understand? Taiwan, all that shit. China will have, including Japan, they're going to have a say over everybody. And then the Russians are trying to, see, that's the one thing we ain't talking about today, is the fact that Europe, everybody is looking at Europe like, you niggas ain't got no teeth no more. Europe ain't got no teeth anymore. They ain't got no navy. They ain't got no fucking standing army to do nothing to nobody. The United States has always been their little big homie, right? So they're looking at them niggas like, we're not fitting to pay to have you niggas with these ugly people in Buckingham Palace walking around acting like they do something. Shit is about to be a done deal. Okay? So they're about to run these niggas out of there because you niggas can't do nothing. Torre and the niggas told you to eat a dick. You couldn't do nothing. What you was gonna do? Right? All them European countries, France, England, them niggas ain't got no gun. You heard? They've been running on the strength that they cool with the United States on the block. Like, yo, my big homie is U.S.
At NATO play. Everybody was barring the same gap.
Yeah, and then you heard that Visa and MasterCard is not allowed in Europe no more.
Yeah, they're rocking them.
Right.
So there are a lot of global shifts taking place. And again, you know, as a diasporic people, as a people that have to be very strategic right now, you know, also again in the midst of diaspora wars, that as you said about the fists, when people are marginalizing themselves to just stand as a finger, when in order to engage what can potentially be coming forward, you would think that we would be, you know, multipolar, like we would be looking to do business in other places and create whatever economically do business with. You know what I mean? So I'm like, do you have a insight or foresight about going forward? Will we be doing business on the continent? Is that some place to be looking to do business? Are we locking down, as you said, as they're consolidating the Americas into one America? Where does that put us potentially in trade? Where does that put us in culture, cultural exchange? You know, the currency that comes from that, or are we to be just focused on our enclaves here in this country and solidifying and fortifying, you know, a nation within a nation, if you will?
Well, I think the mutts have gotten out of control, right? So Central and South America and all that. So at some point, you're gonna get a new dialect in America that's gonna be half Spanish, half nigger. Okay. I think that globally, because you know they about to get, you know, phased out in terms of a bloodline. They're about to be phased out, and the mestizo is coming, right? And it's only a re-proliferation of that Moorish shit over again, right? Because what they don't tell you is all that Latino shit, that shit is all Moor. Ain't no goddamn Latino. Ain't no such thing.
Mm-hmm.
The motherfucker, the reason why the people that you see that you call Latino, them niggas look like Arabs. That's why they don't look like French Montana. Them niggas is Moors. Okay? So they're about to eradicate the Huh?
They all look Moroccan.
Yeah, they are. That's why they look like French Montana. French Montana look like a Puerto Rican. Because that's who they really are. Like even in Cuba, remember in Cuba, they have a dish called Cristiana y Moro. White rice and black beans. You heard? Okay. They got all of the Moorish castles there. So what's happening is that the phenotype of that white boy that we know is about to be eradicated. Right? And so at some point they're gonna be speaking some broken Spanish English thing going on. Right? Because they gotta take over South America. Venezuela ain't just the beginning, it's just the beginning of them encroaching on South America because that's where the Nazis are. Feel me? Okay. So they've already miscegenated. Right. The Nazis already miscegenated into some Juan speaking motherfuckers. You understand? Out there in Argentina and all that.
You know.
So yeah, so I think
they got a strong hold in Brazil. Right.
Yeah, they got Brazil, Chile, Uruguay, Paraguay. Them niggas got a bunch of countries, and it is not in their best interest to have borders. So what they learned is that Canada, you niggas ain't fucking protecting the border. Anybody just coming up in this motherfucker. So now we got to take over you niggas too, right? Not to mention y'all got oil, timber, and a whole bunch of other things that we can use, right? Same thing with Greenland. And you know, you can say, oh yeah, but you know, them niggas in Greenland, you niggas been living in paradise for too long. Niggas up there not paying no rent, just living in all that shit while the rest of the world going through conflict. Nah, son, your day is up. Them niggas is showing up. Feel me? Niggas sitting around playing the motherfuckers Yahtzee and shit like that. No, nigga, the world is going on. You niggas better get with it. You feel me? Now, understand that the
Look at
entire
that
world,
roar.
the entire world is afraid of Africa. They say in 30 years, Africa's gonna be on top of everything just because of the population, right? With population comes technology. And them niggas, we talked about this years ago. I told you, them niggas, the worst thing they ever did was get them African niggas a fucking cell phone. Them niggas about to turn the world upside down. I promise you that. You heard? Them niggas invented the binary code. Watch these niggas do all kinds of shit. Okay? So the rest of the world is preparing for Africa to wake up. Right? But Africa is waiting for niggas to wake up. How about that? Because Africa is saying, yo, my nigga, we produced a hybrid that is highly motherfucking, that is, you can't destroy this shit. This shit is immortal, right? So they're looking for us to get it together because they know that we know the way. You understand? So, and this is why they start talking all of this. Everybody start giving niggas these false ideas. No, you ain't from Africa. You ain't from this. They're trying to get you so you don't get part of your shit. You feel me? Now, the Africans ain't going to give you no land, but they're going to give you motherfucking money and influence after this shit all get to running because they need niggas. If niggas ain't singing and dancing and jumping and playing basketball and some shit, the world will stop. You heard? The world going to stop. If niggas stop playing basketball and singing and rapping and dancing, the world gonna end. Because they ain't gonna have nobody to imitate no more. Feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And so I have my understanding is that in the next 25 years, transitioning to, because war is not what we know it to be. It's not that shit that we watch on motherfucking black and white shit. The niggas out there going out there getting their brains blown out. That's not what's happening. Them niggas got missiles that they ain't even got to put a motherfucking warhead on that'll knock you, that'll take you, blow you apart. So this bullshit that right now what they're doing is a commercial to sell to the poor country some weapons. They're like, look what we can do. You want to buy that?
It's a theater of war so they can show and display in real time what they can do, what they're capable of, and they're going to run it up for the next 10 or 15 years because now the world has to now prepare air defenses for ballistics. Now the world has to develop autonomously. Now the world has to go low tech with drones. There has to be an entirely new arms race that comes out of this. There will be another 10 or 15 year buildup where it's going to go all the way to space. And they're clearing the cache of the old arsenal to make way for the new arsenal.
See, you're very intelligent, Blue. You're very intelligent. You know you gotta empty out the old shit to put the new stock in, right? So this shit go on sale, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and so they just
right.
No.
They put on, yeah.
White boy, you know the white boy. What's his name? He got the little podcast. His little white skinny white boy. He had the nigga John Carrico on the show. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. His name starts with a J. It's a white boy. He's pretty smart.
Oh, Jim.
Who? What's his name?
Joe.
He's a young dude. Hold on, I'm gonna see if I can look him up. He had John Carrico on the show. John Carrico is the dude from CIA, white boy, right? That they sent the nigga to jail because he was like, y'all niggas is doing some bad shit in Guantanamo.
Sean.
Yeah.
Sean something. I know you're talking about.
So
Yeah.
He said when them niggas killed what's his name? Osama bin Laden, second in command, he said them niggas sent a missile without a warhead that went through his body. You heard? He didn't even see the shit coming. Nigga was on his balcony looking at the stars, and guess what? Allah gave him a gift. You going home. Wakata. Right? Okay. So if they got missiles that could hit your stupid ass and don't even blow up the whole building, my nigga, we talking about different kind of games, son. You heard? So remember, the nigga who got the gun is always running the shit. I don't give a fuck the other nigga got the plug, he's selling all the drugs. This nigga got the gun. He gonna take that shit from you if he want. And that's what the United States has in their favor. So you niggas could get all in their feelings. Oh, we're an imperialist. Listen, you don't want to speak Chinese or Russian. Bet your bottom dollar you don't want that. And you damn sure don't want no Sharia law. Because you ain't never, like my man Knowledge Born said, you ain't never seen nobody get stoned to death before. That shit is fucking savage. You'd be like, man, fuck that crazy shit. These niggas out their mind.
That's different. That's
niggas
different.
ain't even shoot this nigga. Niggas just stone this nigga to death. Little kids throwing rocks on this. That shit is savage. Fuck is wrong with you niggas, man? We got ways to kill people. This is inhumane, right? So I'd be like, nah, I'm not going with none of that shit niggas talking about. I've been to the third and second world country. Shit is rough. Nigga, you got money and you go to the store and you can't get what you want to get. How you like them apples? You heard? Nigga, you niggas don't understand. Like, I've been in Cuba with my grandma. I done brought some money. She would go ball out, get to the store. The niggas like, man, ain't no chicken today. Like, what? They're like, nah, son, ain't nothing. God damn. And then you walk to the other place, you get there, and the nigga like, oh, you could have been there 2 minutes ago. You just sold the last chicken wing. You like, God damn. Right? So, this is the thing about, like I said with Cuba, my opinions about it, like, oh, it's not going to be the same. It's not the same from when I went in 05. When I first went in 05, it's nothing like it was like then, back then. Okay? Today, it's going to change. But it's going to lose its, you know what I'm saying, its spirit. But, nigga, that's what happened to Bedford-Stuyvesant. You heard? Like, things change. Right? Unfortunately, we're the generation that had to go through that.
We went through that. You
know what I mean? So I understand letting go as an adult now. Like the nostalgia is in the memory, right? You know what the nigga Marcus Aurelius said to the nigga in Gladiator? He was like, Rome was just an idea, and if you said it, it would just go away. Well, that's where we come from. We come from a time that was a time, right, where we were astute to the radio, the television, and then the computer, right? We know about all of those mediums. Our children and their children don't know nothing about that, right? They think that this is God. This is everything right now, right? So I'd be like, you know what? Cuba deserves to be in the game. They deserve to come outside with some clean sneakers on, with some Jordans on, like everybody else. Everybody else is teasing them. You got rejects on. They deserve to put on some clean pair of Jordans, right? Because the children don't know nothing about the revolution. They don't give a fuck about that shit. They don't know Fidel like that. That nigga was old and decrepit by the time they was born. Them niggas don't care about that shit. And so they want the modern conveniences. So, like I said, I can only predict. From what I've seen and what I understand, they just wait until the shit don't got no oil. When it don't got no oil, they're going to go over there because they can't let them starve on television. You understand? Can't let them starve on television. It's not good for the world. The world be looking at you crazy. Like, you going to let the niggas starve like that? Just get them niggas some oil. Right? Because they're not a threat to the United States. They ain't got no goddamn soldiers to do nothing to nobody. And they never had no missiles there. Let's look at that clear. There was never no missiles from the Russians there. They never got there. You feel me? So what they doing right now is they letting everybody get their piece of the motherfucking pie, see who's slithering up what. And then before you know it, in the next maybe year or two, they're gonna be like, oh, come to Cuba, it's great. And you can listen to the music and la 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 and all that. And hopefully my people will be able to sustain themselves, that they'll come up with something that is fair and functional for them to catch up with the world. You know what I mean?
I do. Well, my good brother, we're almost edging on that time. It's almost my bedtime.
Yo, did you read the book, bro? Come on, son.
Yes,
I started. You to get into this. I need you to get into. I need you to talk about it. I'm
not in
the second book. Look, I'm already in the second book already.
Yes, my brother. Please let them know. Hold them books up for them, and please let them know.
Look, we got. So this is what we got going on right now. I got.
Yes, please.
The Rites of Passage of Taiwan Kayende. This is an Orisha sci-fi book. This is, if you can imagine,
amazing book,
Harry Potter with World Star. and you know what I'm saying, and VH1. That's what this is, right? That's book one, and then I got book 2 out there. So one is from the male perspective because one of the twins is
Right.
a male, and then the other one is a female. So this is for the, you know what I mean, for the
So-
females, for the girls, for the girl power. You know what I'm saying,
Yep.
right? Then for those that are in the traditions that want to read the stories, I got this good boy. This is Leopard Tale.
Coloring book.
No, this is a
Oh,
coffee
the
table
stories.
book.
Oh,
Stories
dope.
and all that. Yeah, baby.
We got to come back on here and read a story, man.
Yeah.
How you orate and narrate. I need you to come back and read. We're going to do a story day for real.
Then we got the coloring book. Now the coloring book, it come in Spanish, English, and French. Okay.
Yeah, man, that is a plethora of contributions to the culture that I have not seen nobody pick that mantle up. And I always said every time you came on the platform, I'm like, yo, nobody tells stories in the tradition the way OBA does. Cause my thing, like when I've sat on the mat, a good teacher, a good reader, like they open up the whole field right there and you just get absorbed in it and you transport and transmute people to the time and the tradition. I could smell the smoke. I could see the like I go there. You know,
Mm-hmm.
when you get into like they show it in the movie when the griot get into they showed it in Sinners and they showed it in Black Panther when the griot opens up that channel of delivery and you become captivated. It's almost like when we go to cinema and we have reserved ourselves to receive, so our subconscious is open. You do the same when you get into storytelling griot mode. It's like you unzip the fabric of time and space and the ancestors cross over. You have a very purposeful role in what it is that you do when you tell the stories the way that you do coming from where you're from, you know what I'm saying, and your ability, like, like it was our wish was to incorporate hip hop to make certain things play a little different. Because I remember as a jit when I learned, that's what made it attractive to me when hip hop had the ability to make consciousness fly.
Right. Right.
It was
Right.
that package, it was that vernacular,
Right.
it was the way that they built around it. Now I just seen a clip earlier with Dapper Dan saying that the law school was his foundation. Now it makes a lot of sense. But nonetheless, you know, I definitely want you to come back and be able to read from the book for us to do story time. That would be so dope.
Yeah, I promise you,
That
this
would be.
shit. If you're a nerd, if you're a black nerd, this is it, right? Um,
Can you
even if
show
you're
us one more again, please? Oh,
if
I'm listening. Yes.
if you're a black nerd, this is it. Even if you're not a black nerd, if you like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings and all that shit, I promise you, this is that on a very urban level, right? And I'm actually 3 books in. So the second book is out. The third book is written. I'm in the process of writing
Have
the 4th book. Feel me?
you have the Candle of Water book that you could show them?
Um, so like I said, this is the first 2 books, right?
Yes.
This is book 1 is the Enemy of Water. Book 2 is Hidden Fire, right? But the third one will be out probably by maybe by the end of the summer. You know what I mean? Because we're really just trying to really promote these 2 so people get familiar with the story, so that they're getting caught up in the story, right?
Yes.
So that I promise you, so it's not one of them books where you're like, oh, I started some shit and then I don't finish. There's no resolve. Like, nah, this shit's going on. This book, Leopard Tales, this is like I said, this is for like the practitioner or even somebody that is looking to get into the tradition. This is a book that necessarily has stories in it, and the stories give context to why the Orishas do certain things, right? The coloring book is more for children and older people. There's stories in it, but they're more juvenile, and they're more moral or value based, right? So like it talks about what's going on now. So like even with the police and the purpose of the police and how you're supposed to interface with the police, right? Then I got my first book was Glass of Water and a Candle. I don't have one right here this moment. It's somewhere, but I just put that book out. It's been published in Spanish as well.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Yeah, I want to try to address the people of the diaspora so that Spanish, English, and French. Those are the languages that our people most likely speak. And so I'm trying to get the information out there that way. We got the Cabildo. I'm about to start this farm in a minute, and right now I have access to a set of sacred drums. Matter of fact, this is that's the same book. I got a set of I have access to a set of sacred drums right now, so we've been doing that as well. You know what I mean? Doing what they call bembes and drumming. And,
yes.
So yeah, I'm trying to create the literature. If you go on my page, I got an interview with one of the foremost Orisha scholars, John Mason, who writes way more books than I do. I'm trying to catch up with him. But I got information. So my Patreon, if you go on it, like it's very basic. It's very informative. It's tutorial, right? And we just trying to inform people. That's it. We're doing, Glass of Water and a Candle. Like I said, Spanish now. We got the Kere Ya. We got the fucking Leopard Tails. Feel me? And then we got Tyrone Kayende. So we 5 books in. Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah. And like I said, they can go to Books By, because the books are cheaper on Books By than they are on the Amazon. I put Amazon because some people, they don't know nothing other than Amazon, and that's what they trust.
Okay. Book By, that's the site?
Yeah, Books By. Books by Omedina is where you can find the books.
Book by Omedina, y'all. Or OmedinaProductions.com is the website as well.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you, Blue.
For real. I really appreciated this conversation. It brought a necessary light to a situation once again that you said it, and I predict in a few weeks, maybe to next month, people are gonna see some things shifting, and they're gonna be very much emotionally charged. But as you said, change is constant, and certain things are necessary in order to prepare for other things. And that's the importance of having insight, because it helps you develop patience to know and understand that we are all part of a procession, and we're cogs in the wheel, and that wheel is always turning. You know what I mean? So the emotional intelligence that you are able to convey, once again, like I said, with the way that you approach your craft, it helps our collective parasympathetic nervous system to not be reactionary, but be cooler than a cucumber skin. I got the new Humber Wind. Rest in peace to Chris.
Not Tutu. There's a book written by a white man called The Aesthetic of Cool, right? By Robert Farris Thompson. And it talks about the necessity of being cool and what it means to us as Black people, what it means to be cool, right? To be in control. And so, yeah, cool, my nigga, that's what it is. That's what we've lost being, is cool. You watch the movie, the Black person was always the coolest nigga in the movie.
Right.
And so we got to get our cool back and start letting the world fucking rattle us about some shit that don't concern us. You feel me?
That part.
My man.
Once again, my brother, appreciate you, God. Family, please. OmedinaProductions.com. Let's go and support our brother. He has a pantheon of books, right? He has created a compendium of books that are capturing the culture in a way in which you're not going to receive anywhere else. So let's honor his commitment. Let's honor his sacrifice. Let's honor a legend.
My man.
All right. I want to say thank you to the family. Appreciate y'all. Peace, love, and light. To the next one. Peace, y'all.
Peace. You got it.
Peace.
can't beat us, join us, please bring your coinage. We sink 3-pointers, money shots, all net, all vets. Bums we not, jet skiing in them sunny spots. With women edible like gummy drops. Dummy stop, dummy stop. No weapon form can intercept a storm. Once my intellect is on, I'm projecting on magnetic fields and interact with blacks with athletic bills. I'm all about growth and development like residents of Ebbets Fields. Not to choose between woo and chew. We wanna line them colors up like a Rubik's Cube and fade to black, yeah, the truest hue. When you say the black man is God, who you alluded to? The usual Clarence 13X, a worthy guess. The words expressed come from the word in flesh. Elijah M, the NOI versus Leviathan. Messiah sent from the heavenly branches. 7 P's from since G-Dub cut down a cherry tree in the wilderness of North Mex, and we flossing death and forced aggression, or forced perception, forced protection, or forced confessions. It's all a lesson.
The sorcerers from Corsica, killer tonics, sticks and drums like the Philharmonic Orchestra. You niggas still playing harmonicas from officers, fabric softener. Jive turkeys popping 5 perkies, playing with keys, the Scotch stores type. For that soft white, we could've caught life, just being forthright. First class on my 4th flight, popping out like Fortnite. Every night we lit like Porsche lights. The meek shall inherit the earth, oh yeah, the scorched type. And these niggas, they some hoes in these streets. Me, I'm 10 toes in these streets. They lost their souls, niggas got holes in their feet. Shit, I'm just worried about the craft and how to perfect it. Not worried about the craft, yeah, that's out of perspectives. Focus on the chip like I'm Robert Kraft, and then how to protect it. It's the waves of the oceans. Get to the money, nigga, save your emotion. Descendant of the slaves in the graves in the oceans. Mastermind that the waves is in motions. These niggas, they addicted to the folly, addicted to that molly. Making me a movie, them sticks made of holly. I'm Dr. Manhattan, sitting on top of Manhattan. When I get all 5 rings, snap my fingers and pop up on satin. Dressed in all black, yeah, drop top the Phantom. Bless.
Crumb TV.